Welcome all to the SnailTrail4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how amazing deserts are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me for another episode of SnailTrail4x4 podcast is somebody who's lost something.
Hi, I'm Jimmy.
What'd you lose?
The pen.
You lost.
I lost
pen
another
again?
pen. Oh, there's the blue one.
And you found one of them?
My hand doesn't fit down there.
We're
Where's
just
where's a tiny child?
I know. He's not here yet. One more month. One more month, then we can have him come over and send him under the couch to get all your pins. Nice crack.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm a plumber.
Should take a picture of that and send it to our OnlyFans.
The mini assistant yells at me for having a plumber's crack too.
Does she?
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, we're back to blue.
Back to blue. Nice. What were we before?
Black.
We were black.
We were back in black, and now we're back to blue.
All right. We're going to go to rearrange the studio one day and find like 15 pens under the couch.
Probably. I want to, well, I don't know. Now that we are adding another episode series, I'm not sure if I want to go to videos.
Yeah.
But I was telling somebody, I was thinking of trying to do video for episode 500. So that means we'd have to rearrange the studio.
Yep. They got to do that by May.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too bad.
I was thinking, say this to everybody, because this is what I was thinking. I was thinking about doing a shout out for license plates.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
See how many states and what we could cover license plates on this back wall.
It is really cool what Cafe 247 has going on.
Yeah.
Cafe 247 has like 3 of their walls covered in license plates.
Oh, is that what? Yeah. I just saw a bunch of stickers.
Yeah.
I stopped there for the first time.
Yeah. They have a bunch of stickers all over the door, the bathroom doors, and like that wall that you walk in on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 2 walls are all license plates. And then the other wall is kind of the order kitchen wall.
Got it.
I don't think there's any stickers or anything up there. So
yeah. Well, if you guys have an idea of what we might use as our background, let us know.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sweet. I like it.
Right now I'm thinking license plates.
I like license plates. If we can get people to send a bunch of license plates in, that'd be fun.
Yeah. You got some old ones laying around that you don't use, or find some on the side of the road. Actually, that's what got me thinking about it. Is a while ago when I was driving home from camping with the assistant, I stopped on the side of the road because we drove through one of those huge like dust devil storms things, like mini tiny cyclone things or whatever. And it literally, I don't know if it unzipped part of a bag, but it started throwing playing cards out of the bag that was in the back and throwing them all over the place. And so
crap.
I pulled over on the side of the road and made sure all the bags were okay. And on the side of the road, there was an Oregon license plate.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and I threw it in. I was like, oh, I might throw this on something or put it somewhere.
Yeah.
So then I found that the other day because I'm cleaning out the shop slowly but surely. And I was like, oh, maybe we should build the back wall for the videos out of license plates.
That would be fun.
So I've already got one. Actually, I have 2.
Okay.
I have my Bobcat's original license plates still.
I don't have Kermit's original license plates, but I do have spare K6TLR license plates.
There you go.
In case I lose more on the trail.
Perfect. So. Yeah, we'll just take them on or off the wall whenever you need them.
Right. So that could be a lot of fun. I'm down for that. If people wanted to send in license plates, just send them to the Moreflate address. It's on the Moreflate website. But yeah, if you want to autograph it too, I think that'd be cool to have names on it, see who they belong to. So
that way the government comes in and raids us. They'll know where your license plate ended up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not going to sign mine.
No.
But
you're already wanted by your license plate.
Pretty much. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, this happened. I've noticed it at King of the Hammers. My registration still on the 4Runner, the registration tag still says July, like 23.
What?
Yeah.
That was a while ago, buddy.
I know, but I went and because I had to pass smog. Yeah. But I never got the notice of my registration in the first place because my license plates are all fucked in the DMV database.
Is that because the LLC's in Montana or something like that?
Probably. No, it's all in California. And so I was a couple months late on my smog, but then I talked with DMV and got the release of liability taken off of my account. And they said, okay, that's fine. And they waived the fees, the penalties for being late because I never got the registration in the first place due to the release of liability. And then I got the smog, submitted the smog, and I have never received my registration.
Huh.
Yeah. Even though
somebody's digging through your mail.
I'm pretty sure I've paid for it. So I need to follow that up now that I realized it's not on the Forerunner right now. So anyways, I don't remember where we're going with all this. So, license plates
registration.
For the studio.
Yeah, we could have a game. Whoever can send us a license plate that has the oldest registration sticker on it, we'll give you a prize.
That'd be fun. So yeah, send them in. I think that'd be cool to do a license plate backdrop on one of the walls here.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. All right, I'm down.
All right, sweet. Send that into the Morphlate website or Morphlate address, 1065 National in Sacramento. It's on the website there for contacting us. Let's see. What else do we got? This is a Monday episode, so we'll get to talk about some fun things and kind of our recap of King of the Hammers, some of the interesting stories that came out of the races at King of the Hammers and other stories from spectators and interesting things that happened. But first, we have a monthly giveaway for February. And that is a 17-inch inner beadlock from Coyote.
Yeah.
Coyote beadlocks.
These things are rad.
And that's going to be done through Morphlate. So Morphlate's becoming a dealer for Coyote inner beadlocks and their deflators. So if you're looking for kind of a more budget-friendly deflating option, just deflating only, obviously a Morphlate hose kit, not so obviously actually, does inflation and deflation. How many people keep asking us that question is amazing. But if you're just looking for just deflating and you're on a little bit more of a budget, the Coyote deflators work really, really well. We're doing some testing on them now to see how they compare against other deflators. And then we'll get those results out for people once we figure that out. But right now, for the month of February, we're doing a set of Coyote beadlocks for 17-inch rims. Yeah, you'll get 4 inner beadlocks with the air channels and everything for 17s. And that's a value of about $1,200.
Wow. That
we're doing for February's giveaway.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. If you get a Morphlate quad system, you can't air up. You can't. You can only air down.
I mean, that's fair. You need a air source of some kind.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that obvious. So.
I guess that's fair.
Like, if I get this, can I air up? No. You need this.
Yeah.
With that to air up.
That's true. That is true. We actually I'm surprised we get more people asking us if we can also air down with them than we do asking if we can get air up with them. Yeah.
Oh. You should be like, well, it only airs down.
Yeah, right.
If you don't have if you're not using the compressor.
Yep.
If you're using the compressor, it only airs up.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually had one person asking us to only air up and not air down. And I was like, okay, well then just don't use it for airing down.
Right.
And they're like, no, I need it to not air down at all. And I'm like, then just don't use it to air down. They're like, no, you're not understanding. I need it to not air down. I need it to be incapable of letting air out. And I was like, I mean, you can do that the way it is just by leaving the valve closed and then pull everything off your tires and then open the valve. And they're like, no, it needs to not let air out. And I'm like, I think I can put a check valve into it, but then you're literally never going to be able to let air out of it if we do that. And they're like, yeah, that's how I want it. And I was like, okay.
That sounds all good until you have one tire at like 70 PSI for some odd reason.
Yep.
You're like, oh, I can't air down. I can't equal. Well, they would equalize.
They would equalize. Yep. Yeah.
Well, you do you, boo.
Right. That's what I said. I was like, cool. Yeah, we can get you set up. Sure.
Yeah, I'll put a check valve in there. No problem.
Yeah. Anyways,
funny.
That's our monthly giveaway. If you guys are interested in that, head over to Irate 4x4 and get signed up under the Snail Trail 4x4 forum over at Irate. We have the Apple podcast reviews always going on. We just did the drawing for 600 reviews, and that was JZTRD69. Yep.
I don't know what it is with our listeners in 69, but
in 420s, 69s,
420s and 69s. Yeah. I don't, you guys are weird. I don't know what those numbers mean, but
it seems to be a common pattern though.
Seems to be a very common pattern.
Yeah. Yep. So JZTRD69, get in contact with us. prove that you have access to that account.
Yep.
And we'll tell you how to do that once you contact us, and we'll get you a cool swag pack.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For 650 reviews, once we get to there, we're going to give away another swag pack. Once again, at 700 reviews. Then when we get to 750, we're giving away a set of Yokohama tires.
Woot woot.
Thank you, Yokohama, for giving away these tires. There are pretty much any tire you want, any size, as long as they are DOT approved and have smaller than a 20-inch rim.
That's it. That's all it is. So that'll be really cool. Make sure you guys go and leave in reviews. If you can leave multiple reviews, you're all good to do so. Just remember that you keep in contact with your ex-girlfriend if you use her phone to leave a review, because she might win the tires and you need to be able to show that you have access to that account still.
Right.
So
yeah. Or she's going to make you pay for those tires.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Or I'll just buy them off her for like $10.
There you go.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's all in spite.
It is. All right, so that's the Yokohama tire giveaway. Make sure that you're going and follow along with stuff that 4-Wheel Underground is doing. He's doing some really cool stuff this year. There's some big launches coming out this year, including a cantilever setup and a couple of other things that we're not allowed to say, but they're in the works, and they're going to be really freaking awesome for a lot of people out there.
The one that we can talk about is his skid plate.
We can talk about that?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
He was asking for, Brian was asking for test or trial people online.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So I'm assuming we can.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian, if we can't. But he's making a sweet ass skid plate.
Yeah, he is.
And it integrates very well into his entire system and is way more sturdy, way more stout, and has the UHMPE.
UHMW?
UHMWPE? I don't know what it is. It's one of those highly molecular polyethylene. Isn't that it? Something like that.
Ultra high molecular polyethylene.
Ultra high whatever it is. Something like that.
Yeah.
I should know.
It's like a cutting board that makes you go slippy slidey over rocks.
The highest grade of that is what they use for your meniscus when you get a knee replacement.
Okay.
So I used to type it in the computer and marketing material all the time, but I don't remember what it is. UHMWPE, I think is the medical one.
Okay.
Anyways,
nice.
Moving on. So he's building a badass skid plate that integrates with his kit, but I'm not sure if you can just get it and use it with anybody else's kit or just on your own, but I don't care because I have his kit.
Exactly.
So yep. I'm excited to get one of these eventually and slap it on there. And it's just a much better way to hold the T cases and transmission all in there compared to the old wishbone sort of style.
Yep.
So I'm stoked for it.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see that come out. He's got a couple other big projects coming out this year that he's working on. So just keep an eye on 4-Wheel Underground because there's some fun things coming from him.
For sure.
Let's see. What else do we got?
Did you use Onyx at all when you were down at King of the Hammers?
I did. I used Onyx a lot down at King of the Hammers.
I know. So, I believe you because you have very bad sense of direction.
I have terrible sense of direction. Every single year that I go down and I go up Fissure the first time to set up repeaters, I never pick the right way to go out there.
Yeah,
even with Onyx running, I can't seem to get on the correct trail to get out to RP2, remote
There's
pit 2.
So many trails out there.
Yeah. What I really, really liked about Onyx this year is that they had the race course on there.
Oh, that's nice.
The race course was on there so that you can see where the race course was being used each day, which direction the race was going in.
Yeah.
As well as where all the obstacles were. So you could see kind of what the obstacle was that the course was going through at that time.
Yeah.
And mile markers. So mile markers, where the remote pits were. And what was even better was they had suggested routes to get to areas around the valley while the race was going on.
Oh, that's great.
Highlighted.
So you're like, I want to go watch Cougar Buttes, and it'll give you a route to get out there that doesn't interfere with the race course. So Randy Slauson won't run into you.
Yes. Okay. Oh, poor Randy. We're going to get into that. Yeah. So exactly. Right. And so they had, if you need to get out to RP2, remote pit 2, remote pit 1, they had highlighted suggested routes to get out there without interfering with the race course on race days.
Okay.
So I was very, very impressed with what Onyx is doing with race courses and the mapping down there during race weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I didn't know they were doing all that.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Speaking of that, did all the swag packs get found?
I know 2 of them got found. The third one was right outside camp. I never went to double check and see if it was found, but it was the easiest one to get to.
Okay.
So I'd imagine if people got to the other 2, that third one was definitely found.
Cool.
But yeah, what we did was we hid some swag packs and some product from Morphlate and some gift certificates from Morphlate at 3 different locations. And they're 3 of my favorite locations. And I was just being selfish because I was like, they're pretty fucking cool locations. It's neat to get to those spots and just kind of look around.
Right.
Right. And so one of them was on top of Fissure.
Oh, okay.
So we put one up there, kind of near where all the radios are set up there.
Okay, cool.
The other one was at the lookout in Turkey Claw.
Yes.
So you get to the end of Turkey Claw before the big downhill descent, the sand hill there. Mm-hmm. You go up the hill from there, and there's a big kind of just little point up there that you can look out over Hammertown. That one's really cool to get up to. So we had one up there, and somebody found that one. And then I put another one kind of right up behind our camp, very close to the race course.
Yeah. Too close, in my opinion.
It was definitely, and there was a big note on that one to not go get it during race times.
Right. Yeah.
You have to wait till the course is cold. And the reason why we had to get it up there that far was because there wasn't a good place to hide it.
No, not in that area.
Until we just kind of were like, we can't go put it up on the race course, but like, there's no place to hide it. There's no bushes to hide it, no rocks to hide it under. Yeah. So we should have
just hid it under your camper.
Just have people coming over digging into the camper.
Yeah. So you can say, hey, what are you doing?
What are you doing over there?
You know who I am?
Yeah. Right. So we hit all those, and then we put those 3 GPS coordinates into a folder, a separate standalone folder on OnX, and then put that folder out on Instagram for people to go and add to their OnXs and then go find.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
And so you publish that. I guess we're getting into KOH talk. Should we run our mid-roll? Or is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's about it. I think that's it for housekeeping stuff. We just started the snail mail, for lack of a better term at the moment, episode last Friday. So if you guys like that, call in, let us know how it could be changed. If you guys want to hear a specific different format from how we're kind of laying it out, and it'll inevitably, it's going to change a little bit here and there as we move forward. But the idea is that we're going to be taking listener feedback from each week and talking about it for Friday's episode.
Yeah.
So it'll be a shorter episode, not our normal 3-hour episodes.
Yeah, right.
And hopefully it'll be just kind of something nice and quick and easy to stay in contact and have that listener interaction with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got a bunch of voicemails that we have to get through, or we're trying to get through. Mm-hmm. And we didn't want to clog up the Thursday episodes, which is normally our time to talk about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We don't want to take away from our time.
Yeah, screw you guys.
So we made a whole other episode.
Exactly.
To take up more of your time.
To take up more of our time and working and doing all those. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, that's funny. So give us a call and let us know what you think about that. If you have any other feedback, you can do that at 916-345-4744. So yeah, that's all I got, man.
All right. Let's listen to Brian talk about how rad 4-wheel underground is, even though we just told you about it.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be right on back with today's campfire discussion from KOH.
At 4-Wheel Underground, we don't do DIY kits. With 26 years of experience, we've designed and engineered suspension geometry for maximum performance and predictability on and off-road, so that you don't have to. Check out 4-Wheel Underground to find the best engineered Toyota suspension solutions at 4wheelunderground.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentle ladies. We had a really fun week out at KOH.
We did.
I had a very long week at KOH.
You did.
Jimmy had an abbreviated week, but he still had while he was there, he got a lot of stuff done, played around a lot.
I had a long week.
You still, in general?
Still had a long week. It's not a KOH.
Yeah. Man, so we, let's see, last episode, the one we recorded while we were down there, we talked about the trips down to KOH.
Pretty much. Yep. which was Monday. I think we recorded on a Tuesday, right? Which is our normal.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our normal recording time. Was it Tuesday?
I think it was Wednesday because
It was Wednesday.
Yeah.
We recorded on a Wednesday. So we talked a little bit about what went on Tuesdays, but we didn't really allude to too much about Wednesday except for the hunt that was going on because you released those coordinates that day.
Yep.
So from there,
there was a lot going on, man.
There was.
Yeah. Ultra 3 happened Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Qualifying happened, I think, was that Tuesday for the 4,400 race? Or was it Wednesday?
That was Wednesday.
Wednesday was qualifying for 4,400.
Yes, because I looked out my window and saw in person Randy run into
a golf cart.
Yeah, the golf cart when I was editing the podcast.
That's right. That was Wednesday. So qualifying Wednesday. So let's see. We got qualifying to go through. Yep. We have the night run up to Fissure with everybody.
Yep.
We have Thursday. So side-by-side day. I don't remember. There wasn't what happened Thursday? Oh, Thursday I had a long meeting. I had to go over to Optima.
Okay.
For that activation, which took a lot longer than we were anticipating. And then I had another long meeting with some really cool guys that are working on some really cool products that I don't know how much we can talk about.
Okay.
But they know who they are.
They were on our night run.
Yep. So I forgot to ask them how much I'm allowed to tell people.
Sure.
So I'm not going to say anything. And instead, you guys get in contact with me and let me know if there's anything in particular you don't want to be talked about on the podcast for now.
Yeah.
We can start talking about it because I'm excited for it. So
definitely,
I think it's going to be an interesting addition and really cool, fun addition the way they're doing it to the off-road industry.
Definitely. So. Yeah. Whatever the hell I left on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It was Thursday that I left.
Thursday morning. Yep.
Yeah. So I wasn't around that day. I drove home.
Back home.
Yep. So whatever from there on was all your stories. I'm not sure.
Thursday
night.
So
shall we just go up to that point for the time being? And then we can cover Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see. So Wednesday afternoon, pretty much after we were done recording, was qualifying. And qualifying was kind of going on all day Thursday.
Yeah, qualifying was going on while we were recording, but then once we finished, they were pretty much starting power hour.
Yeah.
And that's what was going on while I was editing, and I'd hear the engines go, and I'd stop and look out the window, see some car drive by and go, that was cool. I'd go look up the hill a little bit the other way, and I'd see Andy up there just snapping all these photos. And then, all right, I'd go back and edit. And then like 5 minutes later, somebody else coming by.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool to sit right there and watch these rigs bounce through the desert and these decently sized big whoops in that area.
That's a gnarly little section right there.
It is. Yeah. That was a fantastic spot to do editing. That was pretty fun to do it. But I was sitting there with Steven Lutz while we were recording. Yes.
And I got very distracted a couple times.
Yeah, okay.
As cars were coming through.
Sure.
And so we had stopped he was talking about something. I was like, oh, there's Lauren Healy missing the whole back half of his vehicle. So it was fun. That's a really cool spot. But yeah, we recorded, and then qualifying and power hour was going on.
Yeah.
So what I found, there was a two kind of really fun things about power hour. One is there was a rumor going around that the Gomez's were hanging out at back door earlier in the week.
Okay.
And looking and talking about the left-hand side of back door as you're coming down.
Yeah.
And so there was a rumor going around that they might be trying to just jump back door.
Yes.
Because most everybody during qualifying, they had qualifying come down back door. This was the longest qualifying course they've ever had.
Sure. It was pretty long.
3.5 miles on the top finisher. Cody finished it in 6 minutes, 42 seconds. Number 2 was, I want to say like into the 7-minute mark. Like he had an 18-second time on number 2.
Was that Cody Addington?
No, Cody Howell.
Okay.
It was a name I had never heard before. And I was like, that's surprising for him to kick that much ass.
Right. Yeah.
And get that big of a gap on people during qualifying for the pole position and not really have heard of him before.
Sure.
Granted, I'm not super deep into Ultra 4 like say Wheeling Wine and Whiskey guys are.
Yeah.
but like I know a lot of the names
I know
out
some
there.
good names. Yeah.
So anyways, it was interesting seeing this good guy I've never heard of before, Cody, just gap everybody, absolutely destroy everybody in qualifying.
That's awesome.
And Paul Wolf is a fucking madman.
Yes.
That dude.
Yes, he is. I loved his spoiler, by the way.
It's amazing. More downforce. We go faster.
I thought it would help him be airborne longer.
It might have accounted for that. Well, we'll get to that in a second. So anyways, everybody in qualifying would roll up to, the top of back door and just slowly drop the front end off and drop down the main line that everybody goes up back door in, right?
Sure.
That center line, drop down it and then gas out, go, and then take off.
Right.
Everybody's doing that line in qualifying.
Yeah.
There was a rumor that the Gomez's might be planning on jumping backdoor.
Yeah. That's nuts.
And so we're kind of watching some of the cars go through, and I don't remember who the first person was to jump backdoor, but everybody lost their shit in camp. We were like, no way. Did he just jump the entire vehicle down back door? And then they showed the replay of it. We're like, oh my God, they did.
Yeah.
They come down that left line, and with an IFS car, the whole suspension, that front passenger drops off of the top, and then they kind of just roll off, and it's super smooth. Like it didn't look like it was really even an obstacle.
Right.
As they were jumping off there. But you go walk up to back door and look at that wall. It's 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall.
Yeah. It's
and they're
massive.
just jumping off of it like nothing.
Yeah, some of the footage that I've seen come across on Instagram is insane.
It's crazy, right?
Like I was showing the assistant the Paul Wolf video.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, look at this. And she's like, wow, that's cool. I'm like, and I paused it. I was like, that drop right there, you don't notice it because there's a berm. There's a berm of dirt built up before it. I was like, that's the 9 foot deep hole.
Yes.
That he's jumping over.
If you don't clear that berm, you lawn dart it and you go tumbling.
Yes.
Like that's anyways. So we'll get to that in a sec.
Okay.
JP Gomez, congratulations, by the way, JP. When he was going through qualifying and went to jump back door, he went a little too close to the wall on the left.
Oh.
And slammed his front driver tire into the wall and blew the tire and then tumbled off of back door.
Dang, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, so he didn't qualify. I mean, he had a DNF in qualifying.
Yeah.
Which means he started the race from the back of the pack.
Right. Which makes sense.
Right?
Now hearing that story. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you're kind of watching everybody, and we're just absolutely blown away by people jumping the cars off back door.
Yes.
Coming down. And then fucking Paul Wolf comes up.
Yeah.
Because everybody's jumping the left line. And it's like, it's a pretty good, I mean, it's 8 foot wall on the left side there. And coming off of it, there's a nice little like landing pad. It actually is really freaking smooth watching the guys do it. You have to do a speed, you have to commit to it.
Yeah. 100%.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Paul Wolf comes up and he flings this car off of the center line at back door.
Yeah.
And everybody in there just loses their shit again. We're all watching this power hour and everything go. And we're all just like, he just sent it over the center line. Like there's no landing pad, right? There's no landing zone there. There's a giant berm with a 9 foot hole on the other side of it. And if you don't clear that berm, you're fucked.
Yes.
It's not like coming down the left side, or if you don't do it just perfectly, you kind of still have a nice little landing zone to work your way out of. If you don't do the center line perfectly at backdoor jumping it, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he did it perfectly.
He landed it.
Oh my God. It was crazy watching him do that. I think he's the only one that ever jumped the center line at backdoor the entire week.
Okay.
But he apparently did it in his side-by-side as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which I never saw, never heard about, but the guys told me about it later on. And I think, no, I take that back. I think Kyle Chaney jumped the center line in his side-by-side on 4900 day. Now that I'm thinking about it.
That's crazy, man. Because if you're going up backdoor, there's this big ledge that you've got to climb. Then there's a sort of a flat section, a slight rise.
Maybe 30, 40 feet.
Yeah. And then there's another ledge
that
you have to go. So what they were doing.
That's like a 5-6 foot ledge on the second one.
Is it that big?
It's gotten dug out.
Okay.
It might be 4 to 5, but yeah.
So when they're going down, they're using the first ledge to compress their suspension. And then as they're getting
as
to
the suspension is
they're
cycling.
timing it properly. So as the suspension is cycling, it's bouncing them up. And that's what's launching them off of the cliff.
Yes.
Of backdoor.
Yes.
So that they could clear the berm and clear that area. It's insane.
It's so crazy
how they can drive those things. Yeah.
So that was really cool to watch. There's a fantastic video. Look for Kyle Chaney and Paul Wolf's videos of jumping off the center line and backdoor. Super impressive.
Yes.
There's an awesome video of Cody Addington coming and jumping backdoor on that left line.
Okay.
And it's a voiceover and a slow-mo.
Oh.
So it's a slow-mo of his car, him in the orange dragon, coming off that left line at backdoor in slow-mo. So you can see the suspension working and how it works driving off of that ledge with him doing a voiceover, talking through his thought process while he's doing that run.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
So that's a really, really freaking cool video up on Cody Addington's Instagram.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, dropping backdoor during qualifying, that was a big story of the day. Paul Wolf clearing the whole freaking thing in the center line was a big story during Power Hour and qualifying. The last big story of qualifying and Power Hour, is Randy Slauson showing everybody how golf cart babies are made.
Humping a golf cart that was on course.
I'm fairly certain that's how Kyle Chaney's car came to be. Was a Bomber mated with a Can-Am.
That could be.
So,
yeah. I like the design of that Bomber, but let's just make it smaller so it's side by side size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's Kyle Chaney's car. So no, freaking Randy Slauson, he was the second to last to qualify, right? They had the three kings, the three-time kings go last in Power Hour.
Okay.
Not the three times. They had Shannon Campbell, Randy Slauson, and Shearer go, and then Raul Gomez, the current king, went last.
Yeah.
And he's a 2-time king. So anyways, Randy Slauson was second to last. He comes out and a mile out of town.
Yeah, maybe
right behind our camp. So it's a mile into a 3.5 mile qualifying course.
Yeah.
There's 2 side-by-sides running blue flags, which means they're racers.
Okay. Yeah.
Blue flag on a vehicle means that you're a racer pre-running a course. Or right in the middle of the fucking course.
They are on the racetrack.
On the racetrack in the middle of Randy's qualifying.
3 to 5. Well, maybe they were going 5 to 10 miles an hour.
5 to 10, and Randy's going 30 to 40.
Yes.
And so Randy slams into the back of the side-by-side. Plastic goes flying everywhere off the side-by-side.
Plastic didn't go everywhere until they undocked.
Fair.
That's what it was like. Yeah, that was literally outside the lamps window. Like I watched it happen and I was like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yep.
Those guys, I stepped out of the camper. Those guys drove off the course and parked and then started talking to each other. And like 10 people ran up to them and probably were just yelling bloody stupid things at them.
Yeah.
And then a course marshal came.
And Dave Cole came out himself.
Did he?
As well, yeah.
Was Dave on a motorcycle?
I don't know what he was in.
Okay.
But I know that he ended up going out there himself.
Oh, interesting.
Too. Yeah. I really, really wish I was listening to Race Ops when that happened. That would have been really interesting.
Yeah. So the story I heard is that they had permission from somebody, I don't know who, to start practicing the race course to test run for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because the next day for them was their side-by-side race.
That was their claim, that they had permission to be out there. And I'm like, nobody in their right mind associated with Hammer King Productions would have given them permission to go out at that time.
I agree.
Nobody.
But I also heard, and this is all hearsay, right? Is that because something else happened, so it pushed them back time-wise?
It did.
And the course was supposed to be closed at 6.
Yep.
But because everything got pushed back time-wise, they were still running cars.
Yep.
And the last few cars were running just past that 6 o'clock hour.
Yep.
So even if they didn't get permission, but they just looked like course should be closed at 6.
Yep.
They went out on the course, they got hit, obviously course isn't closed. You know, maybe they didn't communicate. I don't know. But so there was a few odd things that sort of happened around that.
So yeah, the story that I've heard, because they went up and met Randy at the finish line.
Correct. I heard that as well.
And shook his hand and apologized and said it was completely their fault. They made a post on social media saying, sorry, this is our fault. This is not Randy's fault, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. That was good of them.
That was very good of them. That was very cool of them to do. But they were going off of the brochure.
Oh.
The brochure says qualifying ends at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So they thought that it was done at 6 p.m. And instead of checking in with race ops to see if course was cold and they were allowed to go, they just went.
Yep. Interesting. Yeah.
And so I know from being in drivers meetings for King of the Hammers, they give every team the frequency for race ops. And they do that so that you can check in with race ops before the race, and you can check in with race ops during the race with different things. Yeah, so that's what happened with Randy rear-ending that side-by-side during his qualifying run. Hammer King did offer Randy to go again.
A chance to run a second time. Yeah.
They said, hey, if you want to go again and qualify, try again and get a higher spot, you can do that, because it definitely cost Randy 25 seconds on the clock.
Cost him some time for sure.
He ended up finishing in the 20 spot. 20th.
Yep.
For qualifying. And he said, you know what? That's a good spot. I don't want to be at the front of the pack. It sucks being at the front of the pack with pole position because all the stress is on you to set the pace for the day, right?
Yeah.
So he wanted to be further back. He loves catching up to people. He lives on catching up to people on the rocks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was like, nope, I'll take 20th. I don't want to put more stress on the car, because that was a wicked qualifying course.
Yes.
And he was like, I don't want to put more stress on the car. I'll take 20th and we'll call it good there.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard he wanted to finish in the top 20, and he was, after the collision on his time trial, he finished 20th. He's like, nope, I'm pretty much right where I wanted to be.
Yep.
So it's all good.
Yep. So that was pretty much qualifying day.
Yeah.
That was Wednesday. Raul had a clean run. His car was looking good.
Yes.
He was looking really good. And all throughout the race on Saturday, his car was looking really good.
Yeah. It was.
Until it wasn't.
Until it was. Until the underside was looking good.
Until the underside was looking good. Exactly. We'll get to that.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From there, it was pretty much dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were waiting around to get to that 7 o'clock hour. We did have plans to get a recording. And it got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And then eventually when they were able to record, it was too close to the time when we had to lead the run up Fissure.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to cancel with them.
Yep.
Unfortunately. So we will probably have them on here in the near future sometime soon. We're going to catch up with them.
Yep.
And so we were sort of alluding to earlier, or talking about a little earlier in the episode, was I was standing around waiting for people to show up. Nobody was showing up at our Fissure run until the permit pulled up, and then everybody else started showing up.
And then within 5 minutes, we got swarmed.
We had 7 Jeeps.
I think it was like 8 or 9.
I think it was 7.
7? Okay.
I think it was 6
XJs. Seemed like a lot more.
And 1 LJ.
Yes. Yep.
That was so funny. We're like, oh, is that our demographic?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
Yeah, this is our
everybody
demographic.
that showed up is in a Jeep.
Yep. Yeah, a Jeep Cherokee.
Pretty much.
There was I think a ZJ and a WJ, a bunch of XJs, and then an LJ.
And then an LJ. Yeah.
So, but they were all pretty much Cherokees. And we were just like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
This is
the
weird.
Toyota of Jeeps.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was so weird. So Zach was coming out.
Okay.
Sarah and Zach.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to come out and come on the night run with us.
Yeah.
And he literally drove around us. But he was like, oh, that's just a group full of Jeeps. That's not Tyler and Jimmy. And so he couldn't find us, quote unquote, and went back to camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And while we were heading out, we sat there and poked fun at all the Cherokees for a little bit.
We did. We waited for more people to show up. Some people aired down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then we took off and we picked up 2 other Toyotas on the way.
We did.
Who spotted the group and was like, oh, that's Kermit. That's the run we should be on. They jumped in the back of the line and thankfully came on up.
Saved the day.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I jumped in the LJ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name. Drew, I think it was.
Okay.
Really nice guy from Alabama, active military Marine, on Camp Pendleton, right there in general area.
Yeah.
And he's a pilot for the Marines, and he flies that helicopter plane.
The helicopter plane? Nice.
The one that has the props that can turn straight up to 90 degrees and then will turn to 0 degrees. And so they can take off vertically and turn and fly away. So we talked about that, like pretty much that airplane, the whole way almost to the top of Fissure.
Wow.
I had so many questions. Like, are there angles that the props aren't good at? Do you have to go from like 90 degrees straight up to 0 immediately so that you can fly it? But how do you does the plane fall when it's rotating those props? Like, I was just like all into it. I was like, tell me everything about this. This is rad. Yeah. I'm like, are there different joysticks for the different, like when you're in the helicopter mode, do you have a helicopter joystick? And then when you're in airplane mode, do you switch? Yeah. Right. And he was saying that it's interesting because he said that when you're in helicopter, let's say left hand moves forward and back, right? And right hand moves right and left. Okay. And when you're in helicopter mode, it's that's your forward lean or back lean and then right hand is left or right lean. Okay. But when you get into airplane mode, the left hand is your throttle. Oh. And then, and then the right hand was pitch or yaw or whatever. Okay. And he said, but there's a point at which, like, let's say 45 degrees. I don't think this is 100% accurate. When it's trying to figure out, it's doing both. It's trying to figure, the computer's figuring out what you're going to be doing. Interesting. And so there's a point at which it's very finicky. And I was like, that sounds horrible. Yeah. Right. So we had a great conversation with him, to the base of Fissure and up Fissure. What are you laughing at? That sounds horrible. It sounds so scary. Yeah. Like, I'm only 10 feet off the ground. I'm currently in helicopter mode, but I'm trying to get to airplane mode, but I'm going to lean forward but I'm trying to excel at the same time. Yeah. It's like, what? Yeah. Yeah. So we went up Fissure. Approaching Fissure, I was like, the very, very entrance of Fissure. I was like, dude, my Tacoma could do this. No biggie. We get to that first obstacle. I'm like, my Tacoma couldn't do this. No way. And then, we talked about it.
There's a bypass for the very first obstacle. It's like a little...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the first obstacle is kind of like a little gatekeeper. It's probably, in my opinion, the hardest thing there. Just because it has a FU diff rock right in the center. It does, yeah. And so there's a little bypass for it, but the bypass is just a bunch of boulders. Right. So it's like, pick your poison. Which one do you want to deal with?
So anyways, I was like, I can't take the Tacoma on this. And the rest of the way after that FU rock and that spot, there's not very many obstacles. It was just a windy, tight, cornered route. Got up to the top pretty easily. Everybody made it up once we got one of the Cherokees in 4-wheel drive low. He was having a problem with his linkage at the bottom there.
Did some Toyota things and used zip ties.
Zip ties to hold it into 4 low. Yep. And then... got to the top and hung out, had a beverage and handed out swag stuff and said hi to everybody, walked around. And that's when I got to actually look at the Toyotas that were up there. There was a guy up there that knew one of my college friends.
Oh, cool.
The one that was like they both had flatbed styles on the back, huh? The older vehicle. Okay. The older one, like the 2nd gen pickup version, knew a good buddy of mine from college. So it was fun. Did I say high school earlier? I meant college if I said
college. Okay.
College. He knew a buddy of mine from college. And so it was fun to chat with him, and then going to check out the Bobcat version. That truck was rad. Nice. Yeah. That one was really clean. Yeah. Linked front and rear 4-wheel underground parts on there, and super clean body. I think it was on 40s.
Yep. 40-inch Pro Comps.
Pro Comps. He had front and rear winch. It had a flatbed thing that he had built and super clean truck. Really nice build. Yeah. Really enjoyed seeing that truck. Anything else to add up there?
Not really. The military was not doing exercises this year, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah, that would be really crazy to look out away from Hammertown and see explosions happening.
It was so crazy. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen up on top of Fissure. Yeah. It is definitely the coolest thing I've ever seen on top of Fissure. But yeah, that was last year. This year was no military exercises. It started getting windy.
It was very cold.
It
very
started
windy.
getting cold and windy. So we're only up there maybe an hour.
Yeah, not long at all.
Yeah. And then we packed up and headed on down pretty much.
Well, a bunch of the XJ guys got there that day.
Ah, okay.
And they wanted to go to Chocolate Thunder.
Yes,
and so they're
that's
like,
right.
all right, we're going to go to Chocolate Thunder on the way back. We're like, I don't know. And they're like, okay, are we leaving? Can we go to Chocolate Thunder now? You know, like, yeah, we can take off. And then at that point it was like, well, if all the Jeeps for the most part are leaving, I'm like, let's just all go.
Let's just head. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I was like, all right, Tyler, time to go. And so, yeah, we all jumped back into rigs. I think Tony jumped back into the really nice Toyota, the 90s Toyota. And I jumped back into the LJ, and you drove Kermit down, and the guy with the LJ was camped right by where we were camped. And so he pretty much drove me back to camp.
Nice.
Simple, smooth on the way down. Once we got down to the base, though, one of the XJs lost a drive shaft.
I think it was the same one that had the transfer case linkage issue.
No, I don't think it was.
It was?
I think it was a different one.
Okay.
Anyways, they were, it's just typical dumpster fires happening on those things. Great guys, though. Actually, they're all from most of them were from the Bay Area.
Yeah. They were all super cool dudes.
Yeah, they were fun.
I would go wheeling with you guys again.
Yeah.
Just
sure.
Bring lots of zip ties. I'll bring extras for you.
Yeah. I think I've met some of them out before wheeling. I recognized one or two of them around.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I went back to camp, sat around the campfire, talked with Lauren, and talked to him for a long time about his new job that he's doing as like a sea freight mechanic guy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Insane stuff he's doing. Yeah. It's really kind of interesting to chat with him. And he's like, yeah, they flew me over to Singapore to fix this Freightliner thing. I'm like, damn.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild. And then pretty much I went to bed that night and it was super windy. That was the night it was super duper windy.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to rain. So I packed up a lot of stuff, organized my campsite, threw bins underneath the truck. And so when the wind picked up, I wasn't concerned with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't remember what I did Wednesday. I know I ended up out at Chocolate Thunder.
Okay.
Later, but I don't remember what happened between the Fissure run and going out to Chocolate Thunder. But we went out to Chocolate Thunder. I took the MFers out there, Ryan and Jake.
Okay. Yeah.
And we hung out there, God, until 1 a.m.
Oh, geez.
Just heckling people.
Yeah.
Which was funny.
That's the fun of it.
There was a Comanche out there, a pretty clean Comanche.
Wow.
That was open in the front end, trying to take the hard line on Chocolate Thunder, the right side, through that boulder patch on the right side.
Not gonna happen.
No, open. I mean, open in the front, locked in the rear. But he destroyed the front end of that truck.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He knocked out both his headlights. He had like 7-inch round lights on his bumper, knocked both of those off.
Jeez.
And he was tried for like an hour, and we're standing right above him the entire time, just heckling him.
Yeah.
And heckling him. So anyways, we did that. And then this year there was a food vendor right down at the base of Chocolate Thunder.
Smart.
Yeah, right.
Super smart.
And so we came down and I was like, dude, he's open.
Yeah.
I'm getting a burger and fries. So I went over there and he had a fire going in a 55-gallon metal drum. And so there was a fire pit going. There's a few people hanging out there, and I got a burger and fries. It was like $20.
Yeah.
For a burger and fries. So it was expensive. But then he started handing out shots of whiskey to people that were just hanging out around.
That's awesome.
Yes. So we all had shots of whiskey with
That's
this
worth
burger.
a $20 burger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he loaded up the fries. Like there was a ton of fries there. Cool. The burger was, man, the seasoning was fantastic, but it was literally just a patty, cheese, and a bun.
Yeah.
So the burger wasn't really anything to write home about, but it was amazing at 1 a.m. Man.
Yeah, I bet. Most all food is at that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we hung out there for about 45 minutes, went back in and got back to camp around 2:15 maybe. And I was in bed around there. So
yeah.
I will say having wind down there, the Lance was awesome.
Yeah.
On those windy nights, and especially rainy, windy nights, because with the jacks down in the dually bed, the camper wasn't moving at all.
That's awesome.
I never noticed it moving. And then it's such a quiet inside. You can hear wind noise outside, but I just turned music on the stereo in there and had music as kind of like white noise. And I just slept all night with music on. I never noticed any noise outside.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did feel my truck moving. And in my mind, I'm like, oh man, these Lances are probably like sad right now. Their whole vehicle's probably shaking around. And then I brought that up to Chris from Wheeling Wine and Whiskey. He's like, nah, man, we've got jacks down. Like we're like a house. We don't move at all. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, Wednesday night, that was a fun night. And Wednesday was all over fun going to watch qualifying power hour and then the night run and then ending out at Chocolate Thunder.
Yes, definitely.
Heckling people.
Yeah. Thursday, I woke up, just ate some basic breakfast, said a bunch of goodbyes, and took off.
Nice.
I think I left at just around 9, I think is when I left. Took me like 15 minutes, maybe around there to get out to the highway. Blasted home, and about 5 minutes down the road, it started sprinkling on me. And I sent you a text, but then it later,
I got it.
Okay, because it said on my end, not delivered. But not far away, and it started sprinkling. So I was curious, did it take a long time before it started raining that day, or what?
No, it wasn't really too bad. It rained a little bit in the morning on Thursday. Nothing like heavy rain.
Yeah.
It was like just enough for the ground to soak up.
Okay.
And be okay. But like once noon o'clock roughly hit, 11 noon, it's like the storm split and went around to Johnson Valley.
That's cool.
It was pretty rad the way it worked out. So side by sides during the morning had muddy course on the desert lap, but like the rocks were bright and sunny and
that's perfect.
It was just fine. Yeah.
That's great because it was raining the entire way home for the most part for me until I got to like Fresno area. And then it was random showers throughout the way. But man, I pulled into like Stockton or Lodi kind of area. And we were going like 10 miles an hour on the freeway because it was raining and hailing so hard. And we were just all creeping, just going down the road until it let up. And then we all started speeding up again.
Wow.
Yeah. So it took me a little while to get home. Not anything crazy. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was just more concentration than you had to, normally have to give when it's weather conditions aren't optimal. So I was tired when I got home.
Yeah. Yeah. You're focusing a lot more. Thursday for us, I had a really hard day Thursday.
Oh yeah.
I was really hungover. I was tired because I'd been going to bed at 2 a.m. every night.
Yeah, I bet.
And then getting up at 6 or 6:30 and then, having all the drinks that you do down at King of the Hammers. Thursday was a very difficult day for me.
Yeah.
So I took it pretty easy on Thursday. And then let me see, I had to go out to Optima.
Correct. Yeah.
And do some more flight stuff out at Optima with a bunch of EVs. Rivian Cybertrucks, F-150 Lightnings.
Yeah, I stopped at Cafe 247. And when I was leaving, a Cybertruck went by. Oh
yeah.
And I was like, hey, that's the first one I've ever seen in person.
Nice.
Yeah, it was red.
Oh yeah, the red one.
Yeah. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So they were out there. The silver one broke its rear spindle off.
I
broke its rear knuckle
of that. Yeah.
But it was interesting because we went to show everybody air up, air down, talk about tire pressures and off-roading. So that was fun. CJ with a CJ was out there.
Cool.
So I got to catch up with him and hang out with him for the morning for like 2 or 3 hours before they took off for their run.
Perfect. Great.
So it was a lot of fun meeting him, met some other guys in the Rivian world. And then after they took off for their run, I went back to camp and like took a nap.
Sure.
For the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then I was on dinner duty.
Okay.
Thursday night for the camp. We made pulled pork sliders and banana pudding desserts and barbecue beans, coleslaw, and I think there was buns. Yeah, because sliders. So
Yep.
Yeah. That was
Sounds
really
good.
That was a great dinner. That turned out awesome. And then after that was Thursday night.
Yep.
What happens at Thursday night at Johnson Valley?
You go to Backdoor.
So Ryan and Jake have never seen Backdoor up close and personal.
Okay.
And they've definitely never been in the middle of Backdoor on Thursday nights.
Oh man. I bet they were jaw dropped.
Yes, they were. It was very jaw dropped. It was actually fairly tame while we were there. there was, I think, only one rollover as we walked up.
Oh.
And then everybody else was just kind of, there was breaks, and then it took a long time to get vehicles out of line. So I get the broken vehicle out of the area.
Right.
Big Willie was there playing music and launching fire and all that good stuff. But it was pretty tame otherwise. There was a ton of people there.
Okay.
But people were, for the most part, staying away from the vehicles.
Good.
There was a couple vehicles that would get in there and just start throwing sand and rocks. And the people that were standing in the wrong spot got hit by sand and rocks. But, that's, I guess that's part of it when you're down there. Part of the experience. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
More power to you.
Mm-hmm.
We were up on the hillside. So watching everything from above.
When you're looking at back door, are you on the left or the right?
Left.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was fun. We stayed there for about 2 hours. And then it was kind of getting to the point where it was like, there's nothing really exciting going on. Nobody's rolling vehicles. No major breaks are happening. There was one guy that was struggling a lot and just kept going at it, and he didn't have everything in the back of his truck tied down.
Oh yeah.
So he kept yard selling everything as he's bouncing, and then people would run up, throw it back in, and he'd do it again. People would run up, throw it back in, and he'd do it again. So that guy was kind of funny to watch. And he eventually made it up after like 25 minutes of trying. I'm surprised the crowd let him try that long.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was a pretty tame night at Backdoor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No, it's not. I mean, there was a shit ton of people there.
Yeah.
But everybody was being pretty good.
Okay.
So mortars were not getting launched across the canyon at each other at the crowds. It was fairly tame for what Backdoor typically is.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
I am too. Apparently, Chocolate Thunder all week long was not tame at all.
No.
There was fights breaking out Chocolate Thunder. There was a rollover that severed somebody's arm off of their body.
Is that what it was?
Uh-huh.
I heard somebody lost an arm, but I didn't know exactly why.
Yeah, it was a rollover and they stuck their arm out to try and catch the vehicle. And the cage took his arm off.
Yep.
Let's see. There was fights. I was out at Chocolate Thunder Friday night and someone, I'm pretty sure, blew their hand off.
Yeah.
With a mortar, holding a mortar. So we'll get to that in a little bit. It was, Backdoor was pretty tame.
Good.
For what it typically is, which is great to hear and see.
Yeah.
You can still be out there, have fun, have a good time without somebody getting crushed while they're holding their kid, without risking a vehicle rolling over on you, without getting fights breaking out and people punching each other out inside their vehicles, like throwing rocks at vehicles. That happened over at Chocolate Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry. I think that was at Backdoor. Somebody threw a rock at a vehicle and it was the Dang Gang. Do you know the Dang Gang?
No.
They're NorCal rock crawlers buggy group. And one of the vehicles got a rock thrown at it, and the girlfriend got out of the vehicle, went up and slapped the dude hard in the head and knocked him over.
I think I saw that.
There's a video going around on Instagram right now. And so that's why that incident happened. The chick walks up and just lays this dude out on the rocks.
Yeah.
It's because the dude threw a rock at one of their vehicles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was really the only incident at Backdoor, though, that I can think of.
Interesting.
But yeah, Thursday night was good. We eventually kind of got to the point where I was like, we're bored. And so I felt like I wanted to ruin Ryan.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, Ryan, you want to go drive laps on Turkey Claw in the 4Runner? You can drive.
Nice.
He goes, yes. I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
So we went over to Turkey Claw and got down to the bottom and just let Ryan drive laps around Turkey Claw.
Wow.
So we did 2 laps. On the first lap, he kind of got hung up quite a bit, and it was in getting him to figure out where the tires were, where the differentials were. But the second lap, he didn't really get hung up at all.
Nice.
So he was figuring it out really quick, and he had a good time. Jake has never really driven a manual off-road vehicle. Anything. So we taught him how to drive manual.
Okay.
And B, he got to drive the 4Runner. As you come out of Turkey Claw, go down the sand hill, there's that wash on the right side.
Yeah.
I let him drive down into that wash out to the back up to the road. Then he did that, looped that around 2 or 3 times.
Cool.
So that was fun watching those guys get into it. And then all of a sudden, super thick fog rolled in.
Oh, interesting.
Like super thick. You could only see 15 feet ahead of you.
Okay.
And I was like, let's make our way back to camp now.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take us a while to get back to camp because we can only go 5 miles an hour the whole way because of this fog. So Jake drove all the way back to camp. And then we called it a night there, and it was probably 1:32 a.m.
Jeez.
Thursday night as well. And then Friday, let's see, Friday is EMC day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working EMC day.
Yes.
That
You're
is
doing comms.
I'm running comms for Amber in the Samurai. And I'm also trying to kind of pay attention to Randy Slosson's comms.
Okay. Yeah.
So Randy and Bomber Fab and Amber, because she works at Bomber Fab, they built a new 4800 car.
Yes, they did.
Brand new car. And they were going to race it, have Randy race it during 4800 on Friday.
Correct. Yeah. And Amber was racing the Samurai.
And Amber was racing the Samurai.
Yep.
So they threw 37-inch DOT tires on the Bomber, this brand new Bomber, and Randy ran 4800.
Yeah.
And smoked just about everybody.
Yeah.
Woody Rose was the only guy that was really giving him competition all day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did see that. Randy won the 4800 class. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And there's an argument to be made that 4800 is supposed to be the Legends Everyman Challenge class, right?
Yes.
And so there's a lot of people really unhappy with a 3-time king being allowed to enter 4800.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it.
He's an everyman.
I mean, if you look at all the big time race programs out there, he's probably the lowest budgeted big time race program.
Yeah.
But he's totally an everyman. Like the stuff that he does to make stuff work is an everyman mentality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get both sides of the coin.
Right.
On this
I do too.
It's like if you win King of the Hammers, you're not allowed to race Everyman Challenge.
Yeah.
Like, is that a stipulation? You know, but there's many people that run side-by-side class, 4800 class, and a Ultra 4 class.
Yep.
So are they mad because it's a 3-time king?
Yep. Right. And there's the issue as well of there's some people that have multi-million-dollar race programs because they're factory backed.
Yeah.
Running in the Everyman Challenge.
Sure.
Like the Ford Broncos out there.
Yeah.
Is there now an argument that you say if your race program has more than $1 million in it, you can't run Everyman Challenge? Like,
yeah.
Where do you draw the line? I'm like, just keep it to the rules of the car. If the car conforms, then let them race.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can really do.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, if you're upset because a racer is racing,
then get better yourself and beat that racer.
Exactly.
That's my mentality of it. So that's another story with Randy.
Okay.
From this week, kind of Randy Slosson drama. It seemed like this week was kind of Randy Slosson
drama.
A lot of people aren't happy with the way Randy raced and did business this week. And I'm like, he never broke any of the rules. Like the rules are in place. He conformed to everything. Like he hit a side-by-side, but like that was their fault. That was totally their fault. The other incident on 4400 day was deemed a race incident. Like it very well could have been Randy tumbling down the course instead of the other car.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
We'll get into that when we get to Saturday.
So, okay.
But it seemed like, I don't know, Randy was a big target this week for a lot of people. And I'm like, he's running the same race under the same rules that everybody else is. Do better. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. Right. Like I get your side of the argument, but at the same time, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Right.
How do you draw the line?
Yeah.
You know, the line is drawn up by the vehicle, not the person you put in the vehicle. Sorry, somebody's, it's like we could get the best NASCAR driver out here.
Yes.
And, well, there was the fantastic trophy racing guy.
I mean, Robbie Gordon was racing.
That's who I was
Von
thinking.
Gittin Jr. is an amazing race car driver.
Yeah.
And he's out here racing Ultra 4 now. Like,
right.
There's a lot of people that are coming over from the Baja trophy truck stage coming into Ultra 4 right now.
The guy that was directly behind Raul for a long time.
Oh, it was Casey Curry, Raul, and then Cody. Oh, Casey Curry's a big time
Casey
desert
Curry's
guy.
won, I think, a Baja 1000. He's raced Dakar. He's done a bunch of the like Mexico to Vegas or Vegas to Reno races. Like, I don't understand. Like, so are they not allowed to race lower classes? Like, can we not put a guy that's from NASCAR into like a go-kart race?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? And granted, Casey Curry on 4400 Day was racing 4400 Unlimited, but like, I'm pretty sure Casey Curry has a 45 or 4600 car that he races.
Yeah.
So like, where do you draw the line?
Well, didn't Shannon get into the side-by-side a year or so ago?
Yeah. I want to say he had a side-by-side this year? No, I think he was working on his new car this year.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's a really, really good point you said that I want to get back to, is that King of the Hammers is about the race cars.
Yes.
And it's about the race cars competing against the course. And it still is based on the attrition rate. So much so that they don't require the registered driver to even run the qualifying lap. But the registered driver has to finish the race.
Yeah. Okay. And the person that runs the time trials qualifying lap has to start the race.
Oh, is that one of the rules too?
Yes.
That makes sense, because they kept saying while quote unquote Amber Turner was qualifying, they kept saying Amber's doing this. She's in that bomber car right there qualifying for 4,400, blah, 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 blah. And it was Mike Slauson the whole time driving.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Mike Slauson also started Amber's race. He did the desert lap.
Yeah, true. Okay. So yeah, I mean,
and Mike Slauson started
the 4,800 course too.
The 4,400 course.
He started the 4,800 for Randy, I believe.
Yes, he did both.
He did the desert lap for Randy in 4,800, and then Randy did the rocks, I think.
Right. And Mike Slauson did the 4,400
desert lap for Amber. And then Amber did all the rocks in the 4,400.
Yes.
Yep. And like Mike Slauson is a very accomplished racer as well.
Yeah, he's a fantastic driver.
Not necessarily in the Ultra 4 race scene, but desert racing. He's very accomplished himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, where do you draw the line? Yeah. Just keep it to the cars. If everybody sticks to the rules, everybody has the same rules to compete against, do better.
Yeah. Make yourself a better driver.
Exactly. So anyways, that was 4,800. Randy finished around 12:30 in the day.
Dang.
He actually finished while Amber was in town with her side-by-side after she finished the first lap.
With her side-by-side?
Sorry, the Samurai.
Yeah. Okay.
The same size.
So yeah, right. So Amber in the Samurai.
Yeah.
Amber in the Samurai.
Yeah.
Finished lap 1, was in the main pits, and Randy finished the race course.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Right. One really cool thing, Turkey Claw year after year is it's in terms of the caliber of trails out of Johnson Valley, Turkey Claw is a pretty easy trail.
Yes. It's considered easy out there.
And it's the trail that 2 or 3 years in a row has given the racers the most trouble.
Yeah. Yes.
Which I think is hilarious. On 4,800 day, at one point there was like 50 cars just stopped in the middle of Turkey Claw.
Yes. You know why?
There was somebody broke a drive shaft or something at the pinch point in Turkey Claw, and nobody wanted to go and take the 2 harder lines to get around.
Do you know who?
Who broke? Wasn't it Lauren Healy or Vaughn Gittin?
No, I don't think so. On the 4,800 day?
On Everyman Challenge Day, yeah.
I think it was Trent.
Really? Did he start it?
There's a video that has him winching out of the way and all these cars behind him.
That's funny.
And Trent got knocked out because he broke a link bolt and one of his links dropped out.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the knockout. I didn't see him ever holding up in Turkey Claw. But when Amber went through Turkey Claw and passed 21 vehicles in the Samurai, it was Lauren Healy that was stuck in the pinch point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. I know I can find this really fast.
Do it. That is Trent.
Showing Tyler the video right now. That Hammer King put out.
Yeah, you got to go. That's the wrong line, Trent. Oh, that's funny. There's so many cars behind you, dude.
So many cars. Yeah.
Wow. I'm pretty sure that there is like when they were saying there was something like 50 cars
probably
in Turkey Claw.
Yeah.
Wow, good job, Trent.
Yeah, right?
You make me proud.
So Amber, when she got up there, she started taking harder lines and just was passing people.
Well, yeah, apparently they kind of came in. She was driving with Tom during that lap, right? That first lap. And they got in behind everybody and just came to a stop. And they were immediately like, well, there goes our day.
Yeah.
We're done. If we get stuck in this traffic. And Tom goes, well, what do you want to do? And Amber just replied, I want to pass people. Tom goes, do it. And so everybody was like parked on the right-hand side of Turkey Claw. The whole left-hand side of Turkey Claw was wide open.
Yeah.
And so it's just a smallish boulder patch over there. So she just went on the left side and zipped right over the boulder patch and then took the really hard line at the top and rolled the Samurai.
Oh, no.
Right on top of the hard line in the pinch point.
Oh, dang it.
So Tom jumped out real quick, got the Samurai back right up, but within 10 minutes. And then they just took off and they passed 21 cars in Turkey Claw. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So there's a couple of great videos out there. A, of the Samurai on its side.
Yes.
In the pitch point. And then B, of the Samurai driving up past all these 4,800 cars that are just stopped waiting for their turn. And she's like, screw you guys. I'm going through the boulders.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
That's funny. So cool. So yeah, I heard Trent got knocked out because of the link bolt.
Yep.
How did Amber end up doing?
So every year Amber's been doing better and better, right?
Yes. Okay.
It shows that she's learning, taking the experience, making adjustments, and improving the program, right? The racing, her skills, the car's abilities, and the overall program and strategy that she's using, right? So last year,
she's also fixing and building her car better. And
she's
better.
also fixing, building the car better and better, right?
Yeah.
When she started this whole ordeal, she said she was going to give herself 5 years.
Correct.
Of racing the Samurai to see what she can do.
Yes.
So this was year 5.
Mm-hmm.
And she finished the race.
Okay.
With over the overtime by 24 minutes.
Aw.
Yeah.
Dang.
So last year the year before.
It was like 45 minutes.
It was about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. In total.
Dang. So she got even closer, like almost there.
So if the rollover hadn't happened in Turkey Claw and if she blew a radiator mount. So at some point coming through the desert near the end of the desert lap, she hit a big G out and smashed the front end the way I did in the 4Runner.
Okay.
On a cross trail, right? And hit the berm on the other side.
Yeah.
And it broke the radiator mounts and the fan ate up the radiator.
On the Samurai.
On the Samurai.
Okay.
Yep. And so in main pits, she had a 40 minute main pit stop to swap out the radiator.
Oh.
And kind of reinforce and rebuild the radiator mounts.
Got it. Okay.
So just the radiator incident alone, she would have finished in time in a Samurai.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll give it to Stuart and Tom. Those dudes for riding passenger with Amber in a Samurai when you know Amber's proclivity for rolling the Samurai in a race is those guys. I applaud them.
They pee blood.
They pee blood for days.
Sure.
There's some amazing footage of Stuart
trying to walk after he got out of the rig.
No, so the way he gets in and out of the rig is through the windshield
front.
Yeah. Just right. He just grabs the windshield bars and pulls himself out and through.
Yeah.
And when he jumps back in, he kind of, climbs back in opposite and goes and kind of just falls into the seat. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an awesome video of him, taking the winch line off of a rock, wrapping it up, kind of bundling it up in his arms, and then running. And he was running downhill, jumped and slid Dukes of Hazzard style across the hood. His feet go into the windshield. And as his feet kind of into the windshield, he rotates and spins his body so that he can be now ass first into the windshield.
Yeah.
And then just all in one motion, jump, slide, crumple up and fall into his seat.
And
it was
buckle up and go.
It was amazing.
Rad.
I was like, dude, that was cool.
Yeah.
So hats off to Tom and Stuart for everything that they do as co-drivers in that car. That's a tough job.
Yeah.
You think co-drivers typically have a tough job. That's a tough job.
I'm sure that one is for sure. Can't be a comfortable ride.
No.
Not in that thing.
No.
Not at all.
So, EMC, let's see. Camacho. Racing. So Brady and Nestor.
Okay.
They blew an Atlas,
Yes.
like 1.5 miles in.
Yeah, I heard. That sucks.
That sucks, man. They had that car running so good. Like they were having some tuning issues. Like it would keep skipping and everything. They couldn't get it working right. Turns out it was because they went from an automatic to a manual and didn't put a manual ECU in.
Ah, yes.
So the ECU was not happy that there was a manual transmission in there. They drove the ECU out to, and the car, I think, out to LA someplace, to a tuner's shop, a transmission shop. And the dude had a manual transmission ECU for that car. They threw it in real quick and everything ran beautifully.
Sweet.
They took that flash off of that, and I believe they reflashed the automatic ECU, or they bought the manual ECU off of them.
Yeah.
And then dynoed it while they were there, and they were getting 380 horsepower, like 350 foot-pound torque, something like that, at the wheels on the dyno with that car, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
4,600 car, stock class. So everything was running really well. They had like 2 days to just relax because the car was done, ready for racing. It was teched. Everything was ready to go. And then they get 1.5 miles in and blow an Atlas.
Yeah. That sucks. After driving from where are they? Like Alberta?
So Brady is, I want to say Illinois.
Oh.
Or Detroit.
That's right. They're not the Canadian race team. They're the one.
And
and then the
Nestor is in Florida, like South Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they come from all over the country to get over here to Southern California, and they work their asses off to do it, and then to just blow a T case 1.5 miles in.
Yeah,
that sucks. This is why I can't.
Sad.
This is why I can't do racing. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Yeah,
it would kill me too bad. There was a lot of issues with trackers throughout the week, and especially on EMC day. And I got with Steven Lutz because Rugged Routes is the one that displays all the tracker data for everybody wanting to know where trackers are.
Mm-hmm.
And so Steven Lutz was like, yeah, I don't know. This is all fucked, man. I was like, yeah, I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you noticed that it's fucked. He goes, hold on. Turns out the tracker company changed the data feed for the trackers and didn't tell anybody.
Oh my gosh.
The morning of EMC. The tracking company changed their data stream.
What?
Thursday morning and didn't tell anybody.
What do you mean they changed the stream?
So the way that the data company, the tracking company works is they have a hardware on every vehicle that takes satellite GPS coordinates.
Okay.
And it reports those GPS coordinates via satellite internet, the Iridium network, to the internet.
Sure.
And then that goes into their servers, and then they have different APIs set up, which is I forget what API stands for, but it's essentially an automatic data stream, data feed from a server, that when you plug in the API, you can now pull data from that server automatically.
Okay.
Right. Other programs, other servers can pull that data.
Yeah.
So Steven Lutz at Rugged Routes has the API for, I think it's Rally Safe is the name of the company. Rally Safe changed the API.
Interesting.
And didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
The morning of EMC race.
Wow.
So trackers were not working properly.
Yeah.
They swapped out they went back to using yellow brick trackers. They had a different tracker that was supposedly working great for the trophy truck races, for side-by-sides. And then they went back to the old yellow brick trackers Thursday morning, didn't tell anybody that they did it. And then changed the API for getting the data from the trackers automatically and didn't tell anybody they changed the API.
Jeez.
So Steven, about 10 a.m. in the morning, after the race has been going on for a couple hours, had to figure all this out, reconnect everything.
Yeah.
And then only like half of the trackers were working throughout the day.
That sucks.
Yeah. And so Amber did not have a working tracker on the Samurai all day long. We ended up keeping track of Amber through Find My iPhone app.
Really?
Yes.
That's funny.
So her sister they have their location shared with each other all the time. Mm-hmm. And so we had her sister's phone with me the entire day, to be able to track where Amber was. And we would get updates maybe about every half an hour.
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes, as whenever Amber's phone could get cell service, it would send out a ping of where she was in her location.
Jeez.
So the tracking this year sucked, and the trackers were not working properly. And the trackers also tell you if you hit your VCPs, virtual checkpoints. Yeah. And so they weren't really tracking and telling people very well that either. And so Josh Ebel, who runs 4800 class in a bomber car, he got off course. And nobody knew that he had gotten off course because of his tracker. And so once he kind of figured it out, he was like 5 or 6 miles off course. And but he was kind of off course in the wrong direction. I don't think he was going the wrong direction on the race course. I think he was just off course and heading the wrong way.
Yeah, went the wrong way. Yeah.
And so race ops called him over over the radio and got a hold of him or the team or something and DQ'd him. And he was like, "What? Why?" They're like, "You're going the wrong way. You're DQ'd." He goes, "Well, can I just go back the 5 miles and get back on the course where I left off and, enter the course where I stopped at, where I came off course?" They said, "Nope, you're done. Pack it up, go home."
Wow.
So another, and that crushed Josh too.
Yeah, I bet.
He went into hermit mode the rest of the time he was there at the lake bed. So there was a lot of issues this year with course maps and trackers. It seemed like, it seems like there's issues with course maps every year.
Yes, it does.
And I talked a little bit with Steven Lutz at Rugged Routes after the recording about it and before the recording about it. And he has actually a lot of really good plans to make the course maps better.
Okay.
And make it so that the course map, all you got to do is go and download your race. Right now, the course maps are all shoved into one thing, one package.
Right.
And so then you, as a running 4900, have to go and edit the course maps yourself in order to make sure that you're only running the 4900 course that day.
Right. Yeah.
And so he has a plan to build the course maps for King of the Hammers in such a way that you can download the 4900 course, the 4800 course, the 4500 course, the 4400, etc.
Cool.
And I think that's going to alleviate a lot of problems because there was a couple VCPs that it was something like 50% of the side-by-sides missed. And it's like, if maybe 1 or 2 missed it, you could be like, okay, they just didn't get their course maps updated properly. But if that many of them missed the VCP, that means there's, I think, something wrong with the course map.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and then there was a bunch of 4400 cars during 4400 day that missed trails, turns, VCPs, all this other stuff. And it's like, you guys, we should be able to figure this out by now.
Yeah.
This seems to be a problem every single year. We should be able to figure this out.
Yes, you would think so.
Yeah.
Another mention I wanted to do was Megan and Derek. Thank you. D-Mill with the welder.
Yep.
They finished after time, but did finish and got about 20 minutes.
They came in literally about 5 minutes after Amber.
Oh yeah.
So Amber passed them like 2 miles outside of town.
Oh wow.
Like pretty much between backdoor and short course.
Yeah.
That's when Amber passed them.
Oh, crazy.
Coming in. Yeah. And so Amber came in, then 5 minutes later, Megan and Derek came in.
Awesome.
Yeah. But they didn't drive across the stage.
No?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
I know why.
Okay.
And I get it. So I've talked with Derek about this too.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to get a message from Derek. And so I'm just going to come out with it. But he takes competition so seriously that if you don't finish a race within time, you didn't finish. So you shouldn't get the glory of getting to go across the stage.
There's truth in that.
I think there's definitely, I totally get it in there. I think there's truth in that too. But in my opinion, like King of the Hammers, it's still not about the competition. It's still about beating the course.
Yes.
In my opinion. And I don't know, in my opinion, if you finish, especially like, even if you're an hour over in a stock or modified stock class, like if you're an hour over in a 4800 car, okay, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
If it's your first or second year, you drive across stage. Third, fourth year, something like that. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You have the car that's capable of beating it. You just need to figure out how to do it.
Sure. Okay.
4600 course, like, and cars, if
you even get to the finish line,
exactly.
you get a congratulations.
Like if you get to the finish line within 24 hours, I'm like, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. All right. So because he didn't get finish in time, he thinks that, or his view is that he didn't finish.
And she was like 30 minutes. Amber was 24. I want to say Megan was around 30 minutes outside of time. And I'm like, I just feel like that devalues everything that you and your crew and everybody who has something vested in that program in a stock or modified stock class. That kind of just, I don't know, like you guys beat the course. I don't care if you did it in 30 minutes over, you still beat the course.
Right.
Like, 4-Wheel Underground is calling me.
Oh,
I'm like,
I was like, Derek's calling you right now.
Right. All right. That was quick, man. That dude knows what's going on. I'm like, take your time across the stage. That's a big fucking feat.
It is. You did it.
Uh-huh.
You just need to figure out how to do it faster.
Exactly.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one we kind of scooted over pretty quick was Trent actually finished the side-by-side race.
That's right. He did finish. Yeah.
And not only did he finish, but his co-driver was Chris Ray.
Uh-huh.
And now Chris Ray has finished every single level of the King of the Hammers race.
Every single race.
Yeah.
Has he done EV?
No, probably not.
Chris,
he's done EV. 49, 48, 46, 45, and 44.
49, 48, 46, 45, 44. Yeah.
I think he's done, to my knowledge, he has done every single one. He's finished every single one of those races, which is awesome. Congratulations.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty rad.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, any other random drama on EMC day?
EMC day?
Because that was what, Friday? Yeah.
That was Friday. No, not really. The rest of the day was pretty much, your normal EMC day.
Okay.
So, Randy finished like 7 hours before Amber did. Sure. 6 hours, whatever it was.
Well, that's good because then they had plenty of time to change over that car to be 4,400 ready.
So here's the really, really impressive part about Bomber fabrication.
I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm ready anyway.
To take a car and drive it the way Randy does.
Yes.
Through that course, which is technically 2 laps. I mean, it is 2 laps. It's not 3 laps like 4,400 is.
Correct.
But to take a brand new car, race it through 4,800.
2 laps of an Ultra 4 race.
And win. And then the only problem you really have is that you have some, your front diff oil looks like anti-seize.
Okay.
So there's a lot of glitter in the front diff. So I swapped out the front diff on it and then threw the 40-inch race tires on.
And they had to move the seat forward.
And they had to put a different seat in.
Yes.
For Amber. That was all they did to that car. And then Amber got to go take it out and race in a Bomber on 4,400 day.
Yes. I mean, that's so rad. Granted, there's probably more, they probably have more technology and more shocks and more
1,
things into Randy's 4,400 car than the 4,800 car that's racing at the higher class.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all you need.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes back to Cody Addington taking the 4,600 Toyota through EMC and then racing it and finishing in the 4,400 the next day. Like to take any car.
Did he took the
Toyota pickup
and raced 4,400 class in it?
Yeah, I think he won EMC with a paper map.
He didn't win.
Or he won the 4,600. He won the stock class that year.
Did he?
And then all he did was he just went out the next day and ran 4,400 and finished the race. He didn't win it by any means.
Wow.
But he still finished.
Okay. I didn't know he won.
I'm pretty sure he won the 4,600 that year, the stock class, and then took the same truck and finished 4,400 the next day.
Dang.
That little Toyota.
And then drove it home.
That's so fucking crazy. So it's stuff like that. Like this is a similar thing, right? This car I keep saying wants to say wan because it's a past tense of one.
It won 4,800
and then drove and raced in 4,400.
Yeah.
And did just fine. They had no issues with the car all day long in 4,400.
Yeah.
And Amber started 36th overall.
Dang.
In 4,400.
Okay.
And well, I guess Mike Slauson started 36th overall in 4,400, and then he finished the first lap. And when he finished the first lap, he came in like 5 minutes behind Randy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Randy started 20th.
Yeah.
Mike and Amber started 36th. And their split time upon coming in was about 5 to 6 minutes.
Dang.
And is it 30-second splits between each start? 2 racers takes off every 30 seconds.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Something like that. So that means I think Mike made it through the desert lap faster than Randy did.
I would guess that's probably true.
Yeah, I would guess too. Mike is a phenomenal desert racer.
Yes.
But Randy, it's hard to beat Randy in the rocks.
Yes.
He's possibly one of the top rock racer out there.
Yes.
So coming into RP2, remote pit 2 from on the second lap.
Okay.
You have to go out, I believe out Melville Lake Bed and then go out the back side of Outer Limits and Spooners.
Okay.
And come up Outer Limits and then go over the mountain range and down into remote pit 2.
Sure.
No, you have to come out there and then go follow the ridge and go down Aftershock. And you come up from Aftershock into remote pit 2.
Okay.
Randy blew a serpentine belt somewhere in that section of the trail in the rocks. Dang. Which ate out his front main seal.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So from what we've talked about with Nick Bailey, if there's a major something like a serpentine belt, not a big issue. You can replace that fairly quickly. But if you take out a front main seal, that's a bigger job. That's going to take more time.
Yeah.
So they just called the race from there. And so they towed the bomber, Randy's 4400 bomber, back to camp. And Randy called the race after that. Amber kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amber ended up passing Randy almost a half an hour.
Oh, yeah.
40 minutes maybe after Randy got to remote pit 2, which tells you how fast Randy's going through rock sections.
Yes.
And
that's just a lot of experience too.
It's all experience and really knowing that car and what it's capable of. Right. And so Amber came through.
I mean, Amber's going from a Samurai, like quite possibly the smallest race car out there.
Yes.
Into a bomber. And really her first race. I'm sure she's driven it. I'm sure she did some test runs and stuff.
She has had a total of about 4 hours of seat time in that bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap of learning curve on that car for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Ian Johnson came out and was like, what's the difference between a Samurai and a bomber? And she was just like, everything, but you make it work, and it's just, you just do what you can to make it all work. And he goes, the wheelbase alone is twice of Samurai.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
She ended up coming in. So they started 36th and they finished 22nd.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Overall,
I'm
22nd overall. Her. Yeah.
So that's technically not only her first 4,400 finish, but her first ever King of the Hammers finish.
Yeah, for the King of the Race of Kings.
Well, all of them.
Oh,
she's never ever finished, right?
That's true. Yeah, in time.
She's finished out of time, but I'm pulling a Derek here, right?
Yeah, yep.
But this is her first time. She finished the race within the time limit ever. That's her first time ever doing it. Sweet.
Yeah, and I want to say she finished 2 or 3 hours before the time cut off.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for her.
For the King of the Hammers race. So
good job, Mike.
Yeah, good job, Mike. Good job, Amber. Good job, Randy, for building a killer chassis and car, man. Yeah. And then the whole bomber crew too. So they kind of took Amber under their own wing for the pit crews on Saturday. So Amber's pit crew didn't do much. We were just kind of there in case something happened and we needed to go drag Amber off of the race course.
Sure. Okay.
But for the most part, the bomber crew took her under the comms and the pit crews and everything for Saturday. And everything went really, really smoothly all day long for Amber. They didn't really have any issues. The car was still in great shape when she rolled into the finish line.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It was cool.
I'm so stoked for her.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So she's retiring the Samurai.
Yes, is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's going to end up with a bomber car for next year.
Okay.
It's unclear if she's going to race 4,800 or 4,400 or both again next year.
Okay.
But
fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's a huge step up.
Massive step up. And it's really fun. So to see her go in her first race in a bomber car, finish within time and finish 14 spots ahead of where they started. It'll be really cool with only 4 hours of seat time.
Yeah.
It'll be really cool to see what she does after getting to play around for a year in those bomber cars, going through Fordyce and Rubicon and going back down to Johnson Valley.
Yeah.
And running all the trails and getting to know all the trails even more now. She already knows most of them in the Samurai.
Yeah.
But it's different lines in a bomber.
And much different.
Yeah.
Different all around.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be really neat to see what she does now to evolve herself and the race program for next year.
Yeah. That's going to be pretty rad.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier you talked about a rollover with Randy.
Yes. Yeah.
What was that all about?
So there's a section on the race course. I think this, did it happen? I think it happened on Friday on EMC day.
Oh, okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember watching that section of the trail in the live feed on Saturday, and I was like, that's the same section. That almost happened again. But what happened was there's two trails that are going side by side next to each other, and they converge into one.
Okay.
And so Randy was behind somebody, and he cut over to the side trail.
Yeah.
And then he went to pass them.
Sure.
And they're both doing 70, 80 miles an hour, maybe 60. It looked really fast on the live feed.
Yeah.
As the two trails converge, neither driver yielded to the other driver. And as we know from Newton's laws of physics, two things cannot occupy the same space.
Sure.
They collided, and the other car lost the collision, and it went tumbling. It went over sideways and ended up doing a couple endos inside. Like it tumbled quite a bit. It was a pretty violent tumble.
Yeah.
And Randy kept going. And so a lot of people, especially that team that went tumbling, the team was like getting ready to jump Randy on Friday afternoon down in Hammertown.
Because of the accident or because he didn't stop and check on them?
I think because of both.
Okay.
And so the question is, if you're racing and neither car yields, like that could have very easily been Randy that went tumbling. There's a 50-50 chance. Like, if neither car is yielding, what happens in that situation?
Yeah. I'm more shocked that, you would assume that the person that isn't winning that sprint should have yielded. Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't see it.
The other car was maybe a quarter car length ahead of Randy, but it was pretty damn close, pretty damn even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I would say then Randy should have yielded.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument there, but at the same time, if there's somebody trying to pass you at Hammers, they've already passed you because it's on corrected time.
Yes.
So if somebody's coming up behind you, you need to just let them pass.
Agreed. That's also true.
So it's like,
I mean, why didn't Randy nerf the guy instead and just say, "Hey, I'm here, pull over"?
Because he was trying to take the side route to pass him and get past him. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting situation, right? And so kind of one of those situations of what do you do?
Yeah.
And so it was a red card. It was called a red card, which means that you can finish the race, but they're going to review it afterwards. And they pull, I think, 6 different racers and ask them their opinions. They look over the video feed and ask them their opinions. And the drivers themselves deem whether or not it was a DQ'd event, disqualification event. And it was deemed a race incident.
Okay.
It's just something that happens. It's a shitty thing that happened, but it's something that happens while racing.
Yeah. Was the other driver all right?
He was fine. Yeah. Okay. He got up. He wasn't really injured. I mean, those cars are, as you know, they're designed to take impacts like that. That's why they have the safety inspections they do.
Yeah.
So the driver was fine.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's like, what do you do in that situation? If Randy stops and helps the person and checks to make sure they're okay, does he get that time back, or does he lose the time and now lose the race?
Yeah, I'm not sure the rules of how the time is subtracted. Mm-hmm. I thought if you stop and you help a recovery, you get the time back. And then I was corrected that is not true.
Oh, so that was my thought too, that if there's a rollover and you stop and help them, you get the time back. Or if there's a fire, you get that time back.
Yeah.
But if that's not true, then what do you do?
Yeah. Then you have no motivation to help. Or because I think I was watching, was it Chase Caprera and Shearer that like got stuck on top of each other?
Oh, really? Oh, in one of the canyons?
Yeah.
There was somebody that happened to, and I was like, how did that get to?
It was Shearer and somebody else.
Yes, I remember that.
And they tried to help him to clear the race line so they could continue on. And then cars started piling up, but nobody was really helping one of the other cars go.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were like, I'm going to take this harder line and just go past you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, don't you get time back if you help?
Yeah.
And that wasn't, they're like, no. I'm like, well, why would anybody stop and help? Why would anyone
stop and help then? Yeah. Good question, right?
So I don't know if you stop and you check on somebody that rolled like multiple times, like when Tom Ways last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you stop and you check on that and you find out somebody needs medical attention and you stay and you wait and you help. Mm-hmm. I would give that person time back.
You would hope, yeah.
I would hope that was the case.
Yeah.
Like you would want to ensure safety.
Yes.
And survival over doing a good race.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. I don't know how the time's subtraction. So
that'd be interesting because I would like to see it still racing the course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that if something bad is happening, that we would stop and help each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of the nature and the idea behind off-roading in general. But if you're so used to running a top-tiered program in King of the Hammers where you are actually competing with other people rather than the course.
Yeah.
Is that a mentality then that needs to only stay in 4,400? Or like, I don't know, it's an interesting topic, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe they have different rules for 4,400 to
48
like
on that.
EMC. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
But I was watching the live feed on Saturday at that same spot. It almost happened again with 2 other racers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, man. It's a tough spot. It's a tough thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, totally. So what happened? I saw Raul leading the race
for quite a while,
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to the screen and he was on his side pointing he was on his side, but pointing the wrong direction on the race course.
Mm-hmm.
Did he just pirouette and spin around and point the wrong way?
I never saw what happened.
Okay.
I think that was either in Outer Limits or Spooners.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those 2 trails. And he ended up on his lid upside down, tires up, rubber side up, for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting. Did like nobody just stop to help or everyone just kept going by and kept going? And
yeah, I think this was when we were talking to Nick where it was like, they're all racing to be first.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just going by.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a 2-time king rolled over.
Yeah.
So do you roll him back over so that he can get back on course to try and get his 3rd-time king title? Or do you, I don't want to say penalize him. Do you handicap him by leaving him rolled over?
Yep.
Say like, no, you're a 2-time king. No one's helping you anymore.
Yeah, figure it out.
Figure it out. You've been here before. You know how this works.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I would be curious to hear other people's perspective of that line of helping people versus competing, right? At King of the Hammers and Ultra 4. Yeah,
because I forgot who, I think it was Curry.
Casey? Okay.
Casey Curry was in second at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up and Raul gave him a thumbs up.
Okay.
And then
Curry kept going.
Curry continued on.
All right.
So, and I think that's, he's like, I'm good.
Yeah. I'm safe. I'm not injured.
I'm safe. I'm not injured. I'm standing. I'm okay.
Yeah. You keep going. You're in a good spot to win.
Yeah,
keep going. I'll figure this out.
Yeah. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But I'm okay.
Interesting.
And so I think there maybe is a level of that there, right? Where like, is the person okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See ya.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, your vehicle's upside down.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it was funny listening to the announcers because the announcers are like, all you got to do is wrap the winch over the tire and then down to a rock and it'll pull it down.
Mm-hmm.
And
and Raul knows that.
Yeah.
So there had to have been something else going on.
Maybe.
Maybe his winch wasn't working. I don't know.
At some point he broke the winch line.
Oh.
He was trying to pull it backwards.
Okay.
To try to, I think, to roll it up a rock to flip it over. And
interesting.
It just wasn't strong enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The winch line broke.
Gotcha.
And there was a few, like I was watching Shearer and Berger.
Mm-hmm.
they wrapped the whole winch line around a big ass rock and was trying to pull the other guy backwards or sideways, and that broke. I'm like,
yeah, like that's
of course that's gonna break,
right?
Like, there's a lot of sharp parts on a rock.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious, like, random interesting choice, and then their winch is out now for the most part. Like, not a whole lot you can do. I think somebody, the announcer, Ian Johnson, one of the guys, was saying that if you tie a rope or not in your winch line, it reduces the strength of the winch line by half.
It's some crazy amount. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. The only way to really repair a synthetic line is to have a FID.
Yeah.
And essentially you're splicing it all back together. Yeah.
Yeah. So then at some point, I guess the side-by-side passed Curry.
Yep.
And finished the course first.
Yep.
Busted. It was pretty busted up.
It was very busted. Yeah.
And then JP finished the race course. And won.
Yeah.
Due to corrected time.
Yeah. So I stopped watching, like, I must have been just before Raul flipped the car.
Yeah.
Because him and Casey Curry were going back and forth all day long. I was like, both those guys look really good. It seems like Shearer was being a lot slower or less frantic on time than he was last year. Like last year, he was like a bat out of hell the entire race.
Yeah.
And it seemed like this year he was a lot more not a bat out of hell, which surprised me because I was like, with that the new live shocks that adjust on the fly 1,000 times a second upwards. Like,
yeah,
I was like, you would think he would just be going all out for it. But it didn't seem like he was really going. So it's like, I don't think Shearer's going to make it. He's not driving like these, like Raul and Casey are.
Right.
And Cody was right there behind Raul and Casey all day long too. And then, you start watching JP. And he started at the back of the line because of his qualifying run. And you start watching him, he's passing people left and right. He was a bat out of hell.
The entire time. Nuts. Yeah.
And so I was kind of watching, and after right around there, I kind of stopped watching and went and did some other stuff. I went into town. That's what I was doing. I went into town to network and say hi to some people. Sure. And then all of a sudden I look up and freaking Kyle Chaney in a Can-Am is coming down through back door first to finish the race first.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way is there a Can-Am, a golf cart finishing this damn race first.
Yeah.
And he, sure enough, he pulls across the finish line and I'm like, he just made Can-Am millions of dollars.
Yes.
Millions.
So crazy.
And I'm like, oh man, that's going to piss so many people off. Like the Ultra 4 4400 class, like there was already, when JT Taylor was there was a big thing about not letting side-by-sides race the 4400 because of the size and weight difference between the cars, right? If you get a rear end, if someone smashes into a side-by-side the way I think it was JP last year hit another car, that side-by-side's losing that match.
Yeah.
And the driver and co-driver are losing that match.
Like, quite possibly.
And so there's been a big talk about the safety factor of having side-by-sides in there, and people didn't want them in there. And Dave Cole just keeps saying, if you're afraid of a side-by-side beating you, then make a better car.
Yeah.
Right?
Too funny.
Be a better racer. Make a better car. This is unlimited. It's unlimited for a reason because it pushes technology forward. Make a better car. Come up with better ideas. And then it turns out Kyle Chaney missed quite a couple of big sections of the course.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So he missed I think it was 2 rock trails, at least one. But I think it was 2. He missed 2 rock trails and a couple VCPs.
Oh, wow.
And so the penalty for missing a rock trail is 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
The penalty for missing a VCP is 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if that's the case, it definitely, you can get through rock trails. It takes a lot longer than 3.5 minutes a lot of times. Just skip all the rock trails. Right? You make up time. So I think they realized that. And in the end, he ended up getting docked from first place down to 8th place.
Oh, wow.
So I think they increased the penalty for missing a rock trail. But yeah, he ended up down in 8th place. And Kyle put out a really stand-up response on Instagram or on Facebook, I remember it was, on social media, that said, hey, yep, I missed a couple of VCPs. I missed 2 rock trails. He said, that's on me. He said, I didn't have my maps together correctly. I didn't know exactly where I was going. Sometimes you just blank out and you're following the ruts through the race.
Yeah.
And, that's on me and my co-driver to make sure we're staying on the race course, and we didn't do it.
Right.
So, thank you to the event for throwing an awesome event again this year. I'm sorry to my pit crew and everybody for letting you guys down and not paying attention when I needed to, but that's on me. You live and you learn. Kudos to Kyle for having that sentiment about it all. Congrats to JP for doing what he did, man.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
From pretty much dead last to first.
Yep.
Pretty wild.
Yep. And let's see, was there any other big stories out of 4,400 day?
The only other story that I can think of, which I didn't see anything because I also didn't watch the start of the race, is just Ultra 4 Jones.
Yeah,
and
so
the freaking chaos that he had, that they all went through. And I'm sure Wheeling Wine and Whiskey is going to do a big follow up with him.
Yep.
So we don't know all the extent of the details, but man, to all the work that guy put in before leaving to come down to King of the Hammers,
all the work that other people put in to help him to make
all
that happen.
All the help that he got. Then to come out and race to do some practice once the vehicle's running, shock tuning, and have the steering wheel come undone from the steering shaft.
Yep. Popped off. And then he rolled like 3 times. And then it broke the car pretty severely. And then he had a bunch of people step up and help him out again. And they took the chassis and a bunch of stuff off into town somewhere, and they had a guy, some friends of his, and people rebuild and put new tubings in and rebuild the entire chassis, and people all around chipped in and bought things for the car and gave him money and stuff, and sent him money. Yeah.
And he got that car back up and running and was able to start the 4,400 race.
Yep.
And then I don't know, I didn't hear anything about how far he got besides on social media.
It wasn't, I don't think he finished lap 1. I could very well be wrong with that, but I remember thinking,
I think he only got like 20 miles.
Yeah. I remember seeing a post and thinking, damn, all that work from all those people and him and all the work he put into it.
Countless hours that he did.
Countless hours and money you dump into this.
Yeah.
To get that far. That's the heartbreak of King of the Hammers and Ultra 4 that I would not be able to handle. That's why I will never race.
Oh man.
Never. I'll never do it.
I don't. Yeah, it's impossible. It's freaking stupid, crazy, long days. Yeah. So I just pulled up his Instagram. It really doesn't show anything. A quick look doesn't have how many miles he got, but I think he got around 20 miles in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I don't know what took him out. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But it was neat. He had a panel where all the people that were like, he put people's names on the car that chipped in money or volunteered times and stuff. And, he's I can't imagine the amount of social media following that guy gained out of this.
Right.
I think he grew his name for the Ultra 4 Jones name. Probably so much out of everything that he's did this year that he's going to have sponsors knocking on his door for sure.
Hopefully. I'd like to see what he can do when he has
a race car,
and a race program that can sustain. So, I mean, it's just, I'm not saying he can't sustain it himself. It's just, it's fucking expensive.
It is. Yeah.
Like, monetary wise and time resource. Like, time is your biggest resource when doing a race program.
Time's your biggest resource in life.
And you can't run a race program by yourself. No. You have to have a lot of other people in there to cover all the time it takes to manage a race program. So it'd be really cool to see what he can do when he's got enough resources behind him to do it.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, just kudos to him. I didn't see him at all when I was there. We talked about how we barely saw Rodney and Lee on Thursday's episode. So because a lot of people are down in his garage or his shop or his tent or whatever you want to call it, just working on that car the whole time.
Yep.
But so just a kind of fun story quite a lot of people were following along with. So that was pretty cool. I don't even know where he started, if he started before the DNFers
right.
or what, but yeah, just kind of wild. Crazy.
It is wild. One more story.
Yeah.
A lot more somber.
Oh,
the Blylers
yes.
did not race.
Yes.
They pulled out and went home.
I did hear about this.
They, a guy on a quad came out and was crossing the course while Rusty was pre-running.
Yeah.
Rusty Blyler was pre-running. That's Josh's dad. And the guy on the quad, from what I heard, was not wearing a helmet.
Oh.
And I don't know if it would have mattered if he was, but he got struck by Rusty's car and died on impact, pretty much.
Both of them were going fast at race speeds.
Yep.
For the most part. The guy on the quad was going fast, just perpendicular to the race course and crossing the race course. And when you're strapped into a car, you can't look around.
Nope.
There's not a whole lot of visibility.
You got a Hans device on, a helmet on. You can't really look. You can't. You got your tiny little window.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know the extent of it, whether, the guy on the quad was behind bushes or down in a dip or what either.
It
So
could have been all the above, right?
But yeah. So there was an impact. I think that was on Sunday.
It's Sunday or Monday, one of the two. I don't remember which one.
I don't remember either. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Anyways, because I think Saturday that happened, and then Sunday the guy lost the arm.
Was the rollover day.
Monday we showed up.
Yeah, fair.
So condolences to the families and the Blylers. I mean, they don't have massive condolences in a way to them, but it just sucks. Sorry it happened. Sorry, that there's a mental thing there that I hope that everybody can get over.
Yep.
And I hope to see them on the lake bed again.
Yep.
But yeah, there was a fatality out there this year.
Yep.
One that I know of.
Yep.
There might have been more. Who knows?
Yeah. That was only one that was really made news about. I didn't hear about any others.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a kind of a wrap up of KOH, man.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. It's always a wild event. Always super crazy. I wanted to quickly talk about my weekend.
Okay.
A little bit, which it wasn't so much King the Hammer. So on Saturday night, went out to a gala, got dressed up, got all pretty, went out to this fundraiser event for where the assistant dances and the mini assistant dances. And it was a good time. We went out and met some friends, went to a Mexican restaurant, had a margarita prior. They weren't serving drinks at the event. And then we went out and had a drink afterwards and went home pretty low key. Then the next day it was super rainy, super stormy. And randomly the assistant goes, "Hey, the well is broken again." And I go outside and I'm like, that's weird. And I walk out to the well and I'm flipping the breaker, trying to do the pump motor. It's running, it's working,
but there's no water.
But there's no water in the house.
Interesting.
And so I walk back to the back door and the assistant comes to the door and we just are talking, and I'm looking, I'm like, why? It hasn't rained for a while. Why is there all this water on the back porch? And we're looking at it and it's moving. It's moving across the back porch.
Okay.
Right. And we're like, where's this water coming from?
Yeah.
And so we walk around the corner and water is just gushing off the side of the house. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I go over there and there's a master valve switch right there at the house. And so I turn that off and the pipe, the main line into the house broke. Separated from the main from the house
at the valve, pretty much
between the valve, in a straight shot, in a straight section,
it just pulled off, or it's
sheared, broke in two, in the middle of it, not at a joint, not at a coupled mark, just in the middle of a pipe.
Interesting.
And I was like, that is weird. I knew because we've done doing work on the house. I know that we have an acidic water. I know the pipes are thin, and it obviously must have been thin here for it to explode at this point. But it's why? That's a catastrophic break.
Yeah.
Usually it's a pinhole or something small that's coming through. And I was looking at it once the water was off. I was looking at it, I'm like, it's a solid 1 to 2 inches away from easily connecting to each other. It's that's really bizarre.
That means you have 1 to 2 inches of material that blew away.
Right. Or it was weirdly compressed one way or another at tension the entire time it lived there. And then when it broke loose, it went to
it came apart.
And released tension.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then we're looking at it. And
like in a pipe, that's like 1 to 2 inches. That's a lot of freaking tension in a pipe.
And I'm like, why didn't it pull out of the house?
Yeah.
Then the assistant's looking at it and goes, that pipe in the ground is moving.
What?
Yeah. The pipe
the
in
water
the ground,
pipe.
the water pipe sticking out of the ground that comes from the well was moving like half an inch forward and back. Super weird, right?
What is that something to do with the wasp nest?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the wasps
are taking revenge.
Yeah. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And the only thing in my head I can think of.
Did you guys have an earthquake?
No. But it was super windy.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, are the trees' roots moving?
Pulling on the pipe?
Pulling on pipes? Like the pipe
roots,
under
the roots are?
That's what I was like, what's going, like, that's what I was thinking.
That would mean that a tree is moving, Jimmy, not just the roots.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, all the above.
Literally.
And the assistant looks over and goes, has that pine tree always been leaning like that? And I'm like, yes, that tree is always leaned away.
Uh-huh.
Like, and the redwood tree is not moving a whole lot.
Okay.
I don't know. So then I was like rattling my brains. The assistant had to go somewhere. Oh, she had to go pick up the mini assistant.
Okay.
And I go back and I look at the pipe and it's pulled farther away at this point.
After a couple minutes?
After a couple minutes, it moved like 4 inches further away from the house.
Oh, wow.
And I look back at the pine tree and the pine tree base has grown.
Dude,
in height.
The video of the base moving on the tree, the close-up that you got
the
of it.
Close-up of the ground
that
separating.
Was crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So I go over there and I'm literally standing there. I'm going like, what is going on here? And I can feel the tree under my feet lifting up. And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
Right?
Not
and
good.
I'm like, I got to get off of here and I got to move. The tree is always leaned away from the house.
Okay.
It always was that way. And when my parents lived there, they had considered taking the tree down, but they're like, if it falls, it's gonna fall that way.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be anywhere near the house. It's not gonna damage the house. It's like very unlikely that it would fall the whole wrong way from inertia or, gravity or anything. So, but yeah, I snapped the video of the ground separating. I snapped a few different photos of things happening. We used to have some, Japanese like small polygura. I can't say the word right now.
Polygamy?
No. Little Buddhist temple things.
Okay.
Built out of concrete that are like, the size of a small trash can or our socket thing here.
Okay.
And so I like pulled those off of there. I called my parents and I'm like, hey, this huge pine tree is about to drop. They're like, oh my gosh, we're going to come right over. And I start videoing it and it fell over between the time it took my parents to walk over here.
Oh shit.
And for that to happen. So yeah, that tree fell. When it fell, it ripped up my water line. Broke the electrical cable that tells the pump to turn on or gives the pump power. Because at first I was like, why isn't there a ton of water coming out?
Yeah.
And then I realized that,
pump's not on anymore.
There's no power at the pump anymore.
Yeah.
And so we were out of water now. Tree fell. It minus ripping the main water line up. It hurt a bush and pushed down a fence that was already falling down.
Oh,
like
okay. Nice.
No biggie. Yeah, we're going to get a whole bunch of wood out of it. It is what it is. But yeah, no water then in the house. But we're lucky enough that we have 2 wells on the property. So we built a female to female hose.
Okay.
And connected out of a hose bib that the other well was on, and then connected to a hose bib that the house is in. And then we're literally backfeeding now water pressure from the other well into the house. So we were able to get water.
Nice.
Called our plumber guy. He rushed down there and he capped the other pipe so that we could actually pressurize the house.
Okay.
Jeez.
Wow.
So crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen trees fall is when somebody's making them fall.
Right.
Not naturally in a windstorm or wind event or anything like that. Yeah.
Somebody commented, I posted the video up on my personal page, and somebody commented like, how did you get the tree to fall like that? You know, and I was like, I whispered to the trees, you know, or something. Like, that evening the power went out. So then we can't get water anyway, because now there's no power to the pump. So we were without power for a while that whole night. The next day I went to drop the mini assistant off, and the storm had calmed down significantly. But the park out the back of the school looked like a disaster. It had a redwood tree that had fallen. It had all these branches off the redwood tree. It looked like a war zone. It was really bad. And so Dave Grassoff from Good Day Sacramento.
CBS. It's a CBS program on local TV. Local news.
Stopped there because he was going to shoot film of the fallen tree and just how chaotic it looked. And I went over to him before he got out of his car and I was like, hey, just wanted to say hi. Love your guys' show. I love the banter you and Tina do, you know? And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And he stops higher down. He's like, yeah, I think it's funny. You know, I just dropped my daughter off at school, but everybody's coming here to take photos of this fallen tree. And it's like, I've got a tree in my backyard that fell down. And you know, it's like, that's my personal tree now that's on its side. He's like, oh, was it big? And I was like, oh, I got a video of it. You want to see? And he's like, yeah, sure. Why not? You know, and I show him and he's like, wait, you caught the tree falling? Like, you know, it's not a video of the tree that fell. It's like it was up and you caught it falling. I was like, yeah. He's like, would you go live with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? So he shot the segment of the fallen tree in the park. And then he turned around and he came up to me and he started talking to me about like my experience. And I showed the video on live TV. And then I got a text message from you saying that the secretary likes my haircut. I'm like, and at first I'm like, how does she know I got a haircut? I was like, oh, they're watching Good Day because it was live. And shortly after we shot the segment live, he asked me if I wanted to do a standalone shot of just, he asked me like one or two questions and I just explained it standing there. And I didn't realize how either wide angle, like legitimate video cameras are, because he was a foot, 16 inches from my face. But when you watch the video, it
looks like he's way far away.
It looks like he's quite a ways away. He asked me like halfway up my belly, you know, almost in my chest. So yeah, that was kind of that was an interesting experience. But then later I got phone call or text messages from friends going, my mom just saw you on the news, or this, you know, my brother's mother-in-law said that her cousin in Arkansas saw me on the news. You know, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I had somebody send me the video. And then my mother called me and said that so the one that was on the CBS News,
the live shot
was not
the recorded one.
The recorded. So there was a live shot on Good Day. Then there was the second recording one that went to like, I think that was like just normal, maybe California or Sacramento-ish CBS.
Okay.
But then my video of the tree falling made it onto Nora O'Donnell's national news.
Wow.
Also. And so that was pretty crazy. So I posted the video up on my SnailTrail4x4 page of me in the news. The tree falling video is on my personal page. And then I got the video of the national news also. But yeah, just kind of wild where it's just this like, you just happen to be in the right place at the right time to catch the video. And then I happen to be at the right place at the right time to see Dave.
Yeah.
And then I sent him the actual file so it would be better quality so they could use it at another time. And then, it went all the way up to the national news. So I was like, what?
That's fun.
So I sent him a message this morning just being like, oh my gosh, my video was on national news. How crazy is that? You know, thanks for sharing the story.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. So do
you have Dave Grassoff's number now?
I do.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have his number and emails. Yeah. So that was kind of wild. That was fun. But now we got to figure out how to get water to the house because the other well is an agricultural well and it's not, it's never been tested for what kind of water is coming out. It was just, it's just
for feeding plants,
sort of a thing. It's only like 40 or 50 feet deep where the other one's like 250 feet deep.
Wow.
So much more pure and clean water in the other one. So this one, we're not using it to drink. And we're only using it for like washing dishes or, taking showers or brushing teeth or stuff like that. And anytime we want drinking water or cooking water, we bought some water jugs. But we're dealing with homeowners insurance and they're coming out they'll be coming out today when this episode is released. And then we're going to go down that rabbit hole of how much it's going to cost to fix everything.
Yeah.
I think there's a $2,500 deductible.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it would be like if somebody comes and bucks that tree up, that would cost the company about $2,500 there.
Yeah.
So all the other repairs are free.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, so that's the state of the house right now.
Wow.
Kind of crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
If you want to see the tree fall, head over to SnailTrail4x4 on Instagram. The video's up right there.
I will say that wind, what was it yesterday? Sunday. The wind throughout California was crazy.
Yeah.
We were driving back Sunday from Johnson Valley.
Right. Yeah.
And pretty much we went through the Grapevine and then took I-5 all the way up, right?
You went the same way back that you came down.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as soon as we got to the bottom of the Grapevine on the other side, the north side of the Grapevine, all the way up to Sacramento, there was tumbleweeds everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere. And there's so many people that are trying to swerve and not hit the tumbleweeds and slam on their brakes to avoid them. And I'm like, nope, you got to treat these like roadkill.
Yeah.
You just have to hit them or you're going to cause a major accident. They're
not thick.
They're not thick. They're super thin. They crunch and crumble on impact.
Yeah.
Some of them just kind of explode on your grill.
They are uprooted because they're dead and dry.
Exactly. Yeah. Driving through with tumbleweeds everywhere. We had to stop twice to pull tumbleweeds off of the truck.
Oh man.
And the trailer and underneath, I'm caught on the rear axle and the grill.
Yeah.
We saw one big rig that had a massive tumbleweed that you couldn't even see the grill of the big rig stuck on the front of it.
Yeah.
And it became a fun game of, let's see how many cars we could find with tumbleweed stuck to the front of them.
That's
kind
funny.
of thing.
Yeah.
But the wind was so bad that it blew over a semi in Modesto.
Oh gosh,
on
really?
I-5.
Wow.
So it had to have been just after we had come through that same area. But I do know, coming back from the Grapevine up through Fresno-ish, we had a backwind. So the wind was at our back going forward. We were getting towing everything with that setup. We were getting like 17, 18 miles per gallon.
Perfect.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But right around Fresno is when the wind switched and started hitting from the side.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I am extremely glad I have a dually.
Oh, I bet. I bet that saved everything.
I don't know if we would have survived in a single rear wheel with the 24-foot enclosed trailer and the camper on it. Well, I wouldn't be running a 24-foot enclosed trailer on a single rear wheel anyways, and the camper and everything. It was.
Yeah. You would have had a much smaller package, but
I already do. Thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
But,
I didn't want to announce that to everybody that way, but that worked out.
That worked out. Yeah, it was. If you're going to tow stuff, get a dually. Just get a dually. Just do it. There's so many extra benefits to it. And people typically don't want dualies.
Right.
So it's not that much more expensive to get them. But if you're going to be towing something after Sunday, get a dually.
Yeah.
Just do it.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, it was white knuckle. We were getting blown around quite a bit and we've got the extra stability from the dually. It was pretty crazy coming back Sunday, but we made it and we're all alive. So
yeah. Now playing catch up.
Now we're playing catch up from being gone for a week and a half. So
yes. Yeah. Power has been out at my house until, this is more or less a week later, but yeah. So on Monday last week, it came back on at around 5 or 5:30. And then it went off at 9:40. And then it came back on at 9:45.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 5 minutes or so.
Somebody forgot to connect something the correct way and turned it back
that's what
off.
I joked about. Yeah, because we were trying to finish the Grammys and we didn't because the power went off and we were like, oh, well, I guess it's time to go to bed. And the assistant's like, I hate PG&E. Tell me when I need to go to bed. And I started building the fire up a little bit and just, getting the house locked up. And then the power came back on and we were like, Well, should we start the Grammys for the third time?
Yep. Start it again.
Start it up. Yeah, so we finished the Grammys. But yeah, and then Powers so far, is, at least to my knowledge, has been on the whole time.
Nice.
Since then. So yeah.
Sweet. Good week. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Adventurous. A lot of things going on. A lot of interesting stories from the lake bed this year. Curious to see what happens next year.
Yes, me too.
So I have some ideas of what I'm going to do for race comms next year. Oh, I forgot to talk about the race comms issues.
More race comm issues? I thought we already talked about those.
We had tracker issues.
Yeah.
We never talked about the communications issues.
Oh my gosh.
We had no communications with the Samurai.
What? What about the repeater?
Zero. Repeater wasn't hitting the Samurai.
Huh.
But I was able to hit the repeater from camp. So we had a pit crew repeater and a race car repeater. And then I was also running Slosson's repeater on my setup. And then I had a fourth repeater that was just kind of for anybody to use, general usage, whatever. And then I had an APRS digipeater setup that I was playing around with.
Okay.
Slosson's repeater was working great. And the general use one was working fine. But the pit crew one and the race car one were really low signal on Thursday. And I was like, what is going on? They shouldn't be this. It was much worse signal than it was last year.
Okay.
Like this makes no sense. And then the pit crews could not hit the repeaters from the pits. And I was like, that's even weirder.
Remote pit too?
Yep.
It's like right up the hill from them.
Exactly. It's almost line of sight.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I can't, this doesn't make sense to me. But then also we tried hitting the race car via line of sight from like 50 to 100 yards away on Simplex, and we still couldn't hit the race car. So I think there was something going on with the Samurai's radio.
Okay.
Maybe connections. I know that one of the connections was loose as I was kind of fiddling with stuff and make sure everything was set up on Tuesday. I was like, that's a loose connection. That's going to be an issue. So I was thinking that might have had something to do with it. And then we went up on Fissure Mountain on Saturday after race course was called Cold to pull down all the radio equipment. And the pit crew repeater antenna was laying on the ground.
Oh no.
And the race car antenna was like at a 70-degree angle to the ground.
That would do it.
That would cause to have zero signal or very little signal.
You should have told the race car people to put their antenna horizontally.
Right. Right. And get it matching.
Better.
Yeah. Polarity. So anyways, we found out the wind got so bad on top of Fissure between Wednesday night when we were up there with our run and Friday morning for EMC.
Yeah.
That it broke two of the stands.
Whoa.
So I had built stands out of 2-inch square tubing and then 1-inch angle iron on four sides. And I had welded bolts into the angle iron and then welded nuts on the backside of the tubing.
Okay.
So the angle iron spun, twisted, threaded into the square tubing, tightened in, and then we put a bunch of rocks on the legs and also stacked rocks up the square inch tubing.
Right.
To hold everything in place. The wind was so bad that it broke the base out of the rocks and snapped the bolts, 3/8 bolts.
Dang.
Off the legs.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's what threw down a 5-ton tree.
Right? Exactly. Right? So I have some upgrades to make to the bases.
I guess so.
Nick Bailey made their base out of like 2.5, 3-inch square tubing and like 1.5 to 2-inch angle iron that's 1/4 inch thick and 5/8 bolts. And his did just fine.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to have to find a way I'm going to upgrade the bases.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3/8 bolts apparently cannot handle high wind load with rocks on the base.
Yeah. That's insane.
Right.
Wow.
So another thing about how crazy the wind was down there this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, that was a good long one.
Yeah.
I hope you guys all enjoyed our King of the Hammers experiences, especially if you're in an area that you can't make it out there.
And live vicariously through the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get in contact with us and have any questions, you can always get a hold of us on Instagram. I'm over at SnailTrail4x4. Tyler's at 4x4 Toyota Tyler. You can email us, Jimmy or Tyler, at SnailTrail4x4.com. Or you can phone in and join us on our new segment, what we're kind of calling right now Snail Mail, which is happening on Fridays, where we're answering phone call messages from you guys. That phone number is area code 916-345-4744.
Sweet. I like it a lot. Jimmy Jet, the tree whispering master. Any final words for everybody out there?
All I got to say is if you build your base just like Nick Bailey's, how is that going to be any better?
Because his stayed up and worked the entire time.
But you need to be better than that. You need to be better than what he's got.
Maybe I'll incorporate guy wires into it too.
There you go.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Get ready.
Laughing already? This one's pretty bad.
All right.
This is straight from the box down here. So this isn't mine.
Okay.
What did the man say when he was reversing his car?
Backing up.
This takes me back.
Yeah.
That's really bad. I'm going to do another one.
I have a book of dad jokes at home now too.
What?
Yeah.
Somebody trying to make you funny or something?
I guess so. I don't know why. I'm already funny. Looking.
Yeah. Why is rowing such a popular sport?
Rowing? I don't know. Why?
Because it's awesome.
It's awesome, mate.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Okay. I think the taking you back was better than awesome.